Uh,
Thanks, bro. I mean, I'm doing my best. Yeah, just to obviously continue unfolding. See, I kind of hoped that like Jaren, even with when he went to Antarctica, I was kind of hoping that he would just continue the discussions. Like I figured it'd be on Globebusters and having panels and talking it out. But obviously things
That's
have
what I
gone
was hoping for too.
a different way. Yeah. I mean, because the 24-hour, it's not really that big of a difference. Like people make it as if, I mean, there's an evolution of all this kind of unfolding. I don't mean Darwinian, but I just mean there's an evolving of everyone in this. And so I understand that the 24-hour sun thing kind of sparked people, but really the stars already are doing that rotation. What the sun does, the stars are already doing it. So it's been an issue for the AE map from the beginning, but it is cool to kind of heighten more of these discussions. And but yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I get attacked a lot. These guys are always, the Globe guys and people are really attacked at anything discussing dual pole. And even a lot of the
No,
flat
dude.
earth folks, the AE flat earth
I,
folks attack it. The Globe attacks it. Like there's like very few of us that are really discussing it all the
If they
same
have
dude,
at it,
I gotta
bro.
say, in my 10 years of being in this, yeah, I mean, you're one of the best. So just so you know.
Yeah, thank you for your service, mods and crew.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
everybody
guys.
does a really good job.
And this guy's way better than Ed, right? So shout out to the Glober with the Eastern European accent.
Thank you.
Where are you from,
Is
man?
that
If you don't
from
mind me
Poland?
asking.
Is it
Oh,
really
awesome.
that obvious that it's Eastern European?
Well, I'm an ignorant
Uh,
American, so I just knew that you weren't Asian or Western Europe or African. So
And you happen to be right. Uh, but I think I don't really want to go into the entire discussion about relativity right now because I will be leaving soon. I will be busy, and that's a very broad topic. But you pointed out that there's an issue on. I mean, I already pointed that out that there's an issue on dual pole with east-west circumnavigation. But in my opinion, that isn't really an issue of only this map. That's an issue of any flat Earth map from definition, because the globe it is continuous in every direction. You can go in every direction in a straight line and then turn back to the same place. And on a flat Earth, regardless of what model you claim, and even if this model wasn't discovered yet, there has to be some point where this Earth is cut in order to project the globe into a plane, and where you don't, where you cannot go into the same place by traveling in a straight line anymore. I mean, you really cannot do that in any direction of flat Earth, but anyways.
Yeah, unless you have wraparound. No, I hear you, dude. I hear you on that. I definitely
Unless-
hear you. The thing about the Gleason's map is that it kind of claims, okay, North Pole centered, everything goes out, and then it's the Antarctica question, the big question mark, because we can't really freely explore there. It's then the whole claim of like circumnavigation, like in order to loop around, you'd have to go south and then end up back at the North Pole. And people have said, okay, well, there's no north and south circumnavigation that's really been proven to their satisfaction. Therefore, there's the claim that that doesn't happen at all. And then the Gleason's map is sort of somewhat, considered viable because of that. Perhaps, but like I do hear what you're saying. Especially if you do a dual pole, you end up even more so, because what that does, the dual pole basically makes the Pacific Ocean the rim around the outside. It's interesting that phrase Pacific Rim, but it makes the Pacific Ocean the circle around the outside instead of Antarctica. And then it maintains Antarctica as a continent, as an actual pole under the South Pole, the southern rotation and 24-hour sun. And it maintains the North Pole with an actual pole and a rotation of stars, which is exactly what we see. We see two massive rotations. And it maintains a straight line at the equator. But the thing that comes along with that is you end up with this Pacific Rim on the outside. And now you can't really circumnavigate across the Pacific Ocean, because you would either have to hit a wall, some kind of blockage, or you would have to have some kind of some kind of portal effect or Pac-Man or something, which I'm not asserting is the case. I never have, because that would be a dramatic thing if it was happening. We would really need to verify that. I'm not just going to jump out and say that's happening, but I am talking about how the stars and so on. But I will say, Percentage explained it once, like the idea that, like if the idea of like being in like an enchanted forest, and you kind of like, it's misty, and you kind of like, you go in one direction, you end up where you started, and you don't know how it happened, kind of thing. I'm not saying it is happening, but it would be extremely wild if it was. But could there be, like Percentage calls it wraparound effect, could there be some effect that you just smoothly transition? I'm not claiming it. I'm just saying it, it, I mean, dude, when you compare like relativity and being a globe and a huge vacuum and stars light years away, I mean, it's not really that wild. But again, I mean, but I hear what you're saying overall about the idea that you can travel in any direction and end up back where you started. And that is, if that does happen in every direction, then yeah, that is a pretty strong argument for a globe, because what else can do that? Like on a plane, like you said, on any plane, or if you have a table, a flat table, and you go in one direction, you're gonna reach in a barrier or you're gonna fall off it. It's a plane. It's not a ball that you can go around. So I do hear you. I'm not claiming there is a Pac-Man wraparound thing. If there was, that would be wild, beyond our conceptions. But if it's whatever the truth is, and that's what we want to get to. So
It's not really beyond our conceptions, because in relativity you theoretically could have wormholes. It's just that we don't have ways to prove it. But it would be very weird if those wormholes happened in this particular place on the Earth for no reason, because in relativity they at least exist for a reason, which is gravity. That black holes are very massive, and if you get enough mass, then light cannot escape anymore, and theoretically you could have a wormhole there. But yeah, it's true that Gleason gets away with this problem by saying that we cannot really explore there. But I would just disagree with this premise in the first place. I think the Antarctic explorations are too well documented. There's way too many tourists in order to fake this. Just the fact that you have the same place, which is the South Pole. Even if this place wasn't on the actual South Pole, but was some random place, there's the fact that you can go there in relatively the same time, both from South America, so like the final experiment guys did that, both from South Africa and also from Australia. And if Antarctica is the outer rim, then the flight times to this particular place in Antarctica, where you have this pole saying that it's the South Pole, would be drastically longer compared to other continents, depending on where do you place it. Is it next to Australia? Is it next to South America? And there's just too many problems with that. There's too many, like, others would like to say that it's not that we cannot really explore that because it's too expensive, but they don't realize how many rich people there actually are. And even if you take this into account, the fact that it's way too expensive for average people to do that, there's still too many rich people doing that, in my opinion, to keep this as a conspiracy.
Yeah, I hear you on the points. Go ahead.
You don't think that they could keep the lie? Is that what you're saying? You don't think that they keep the lie going between everybody? Is that something that you're having trouble with?
Yes, because many of those people do that just to take photos or to challenge themselves, and they aren't related to the flat Earth topic at all. So it would be really weird that every single one of them would agree to this.
Yeah, dude, I hear what you're saying. The idea of the Antarctica being a rim around the outside is, the evidence for that is tough to support, I think, in a lot of ways. And what you're talking about, I've basically made a similar argument you're making. I haven't been to Antarctica. I haven't taken flights there, so I can't say from any personal experience. But there is the trips, the White Desert, which is that company in South Africa. They fly to, they have a few camps, actually, at like 71, 72 degrees. And then they have another, it's only like a short flight. You can pay extra to go to the South Pole, the 90 degrees south. And then there's, from South America, there's the flight from, to Union Glacier. And then from Union Glacier, you can take a short flight to the South Pole. And then there's, on the Australia, New Zealand side, McMurdo, which you can't really do that on a commercial kind of civilian trip. But I mean, there's military, obviously, who go there, and different people like that are approved. And then there is the claim that you can fly from there to the South Pole as well. So the idea that that's on the outer rim with much greater distances, if all those flights exist like that, is obviously problematic. Plus, you have the whole southern star rotation, and I talked about the arguments about the GPs. You have ground positions of every star, and so those are fixed. Like, those GPs are not just relative. They're not just floating around the outside of a rim of a AE map. They're fixed. They're not relative GPs. You know what I mean? So that, unless somebody could show that there's more than one GP at any one time, like you could be in South Africa and you're at a GP, and you could be in South America, the GP at the same star, and say, hey guys, we're both at the GP of this star, then I guess you could have relative GPs, but it's kind of a separate argument. But it's a thing that, just like the North Pole stars are fixed, as we know, the Big Dipper stars and all of that are fixed to positions above the ground. it's the same in the south, unless anyone could show different. That rotation in the south is not just a fake rotation that's just kind of moving with you around the outer rim of an AE map. It's actually fixed stars with fixed GPs, just like the north. So that ends up being a two-pole world, a two-pole plane. It's either a plane or a globe at that point. Yeah.
What is it about the Pac-Man that's hard for you? Like what would that reconcile, if anything? Like,
well, I mean, not everybody thinks with the dual pole that there has to be a Pac-Man. There are people that say that it's not required. There isn't a Pac-Man. One thing is that, like, the Pacific Ocean is, like, if you look at the globe Earth, half of the globe is the Pacific Ocean. Like, if you look on Google Earth, like, half of the whole thing is the Pacific. So it's massive. Like, you think of all the continents that we, know about and the whole Atlantic Ocean, all of that is just one half of the ball, and then the other half is the Pacific Ocean, which is huge. So if you have a huge rim around, that's a massive rim, So I mean, there are some people that don't think there is a Pac-Man effect, but if there was, kind of like Embo was saying, yeah, like you could, I mean, like he was saying, wormholes and black holes, and even within the mainstream model, they talk about that, bending, warping space-time, all these kinds of ideas. So I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of that being a thing, that you would enter into some area of water and then you would kind of arrive out the other side, or maybe it's some kind of like an infinitely toroidal hyperloop effect or something, some kind of like some kind of a infinitely looping effect or something. I mean, I'm not saying that any of that's impossible, but it just seems outside of what we consider. I mean, even black holes and wormholes are outside of what we've ever experienced. The idea that out in outer space that you could do that, that time and space warp and bend and you go to, that all sounds sci-fi and nothing we've experienced. But I mean, could there be a rim around the outside of the plane that does that? I mean, like Embo said, I mean, it's in the realm of possibilities, but it just seems like quite a dramatic thing if it was happening.
could ether be a good answer to some of your questions? Like, could ether fix some of the problems you might have with? Have you looked into the ether?
Are you asking me or Embo?
Embo.
Oh, new perspectives here.
Dave.
I'm not
What's up?
sure.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I've got a clip that I'm willing to share right now that shows exactly how it would work with no Pac-Manning. You want to play it?
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to send it
Who's
to you,
playing-
Gio, or? Hey,
Who's playing the
by the
video
way,
game?
Jared,
Yeah.
check your DMs, bro. I've been sending you a bunch of links, DMs. Check your
Oh, you have?
Discord DMs.
Sorry.
Yeah, you never check them. It's all right.
Well, I mean, the thing is here,
I don't know
like,
if you want to share screen.
like outside of everybody's like viewpoints on what is going on, like, I mean, we probably, unless somebody thinks truth is subjective, there is an objective truth. Like, unless somebody thinks it's all subjective,
Absolutely.
and the world could be a bunch of different. But I mean, if we consider, like, if you're in a room with someone in a house, there is an objective thing. There's a floor, there's a wall, you can measure it. You can't just walk through walls, etc. Unless somebody wants to get into like some like supernatural, some wild like but from like in terms of physical reality being what it is. So if you think of the earth as just being a big room, a huge room, then the room is something. So the things we're discussing, a globe, an AE map, or a dual pole. And I don't know, I mean, could anyone say they have it solved? Ultimately, I mean, the globe thing has what it has, but if you're in these discussions, you probably already know a lot of the contentions with the globe. If you're really, really confident that it is a globe, then I guess you feel like you found the truth. But if you're still searching, still thinking, still considering, and there are things about the globe model that are problematic, then it would be unresolved, or at least, there would be some question. And then there's, can they really prove the globe and everything involved with that? So I know I'm just sort of saying a meta point, but whatever the truth is,
The problem with the globe is we're not there's no curvature and we're not moving. So that takes care of the glob right there. Plus the southern star trails converge and diverge with the northern star trails, and that can't happen on a glob.
Gio, can
Even
I ask you
Solarium
a
shows them
question?
converging and diverging. So that's the end of the glob right there. There's no way it's a glob. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, the
That
dual
w- I will-
dual pole solves a lot of things, but there's, in my mind, there are still some pretty big question marks that would need to be resolved and discussed.
I just sent you a clip. Where I asked E1 about the travel times from Hawaii to New Zealand. He explains it all. It's just a little clip if you want to share screen.
And
in your
also
DMs.
star trails, they
That's
don't
what I got from you. Okay, I got it. I see it.
and also
Dave, sorry.
also the star trails, they don't converge and they don't diverge. They travel
You have
in
to say that. You have
parallel
to say that, but they
planes.
do. They do.
No, they
They
don't.
there. You can anybody can go to Amazon for about $100. I'll put it in the chat right now. Just get the Weems and Plath star wheels. There's north and south. North on one side, south on the other. They don't put them next to each other like E1 has with his customized layout. But you can't use the star trails unless they converge and diverge for the south and the north. Even Weems and Plath has to include it that way because that's the way it works. You have cardinal directions. You have northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. They're cardinal directions. That doesn't work on a glob. Doesn't work on an AE map. It has to be that there's four quarters of the Earth. They're cardinal
But
directions.
okay, but what you have here in this photo is a projection. You have the same problem with the celestial sphere as you have with the globe, because it's also a sphere. That you cannot project it into a plane without a distortion. So yeah, if you project it into a plane, then you will get diverging star trails, two sets of diverging star trails, because you're trying to represent the celestial sphere on a plane. If you
Yeah,
have a
but when you
3D
plot
model
your
like
positions, dude, when you plot your positions, the stars diverge from each other. And when you take the plotting positions, either in one coordinate or the other, they put the southern stars on the northern wheel, but you can only see those stars looking south, or vice versa. You can only see the northern stars looking north, right? But they're included on the southern wheel because you can see them still. So when you're plotting out, you could even get the idea that you're still on a glob by using these wheels. Just because you're using them separately, you're either in one quadrant or another. There's only four quadrants. It doesn't work that you can just claim that they're equidistant from each other. I know you have to think you're on a glob, but they do diverge from each other, and that's provable just from using the star wheels. They don't stay in the
to,
same position in relation to each
but
other when you get to a
but
certain
those
position.
But those views are a projection. If I remember correctly, it's a stereographic projection, but I may be wrong. So again, you're
It
trying to
doesn't work
project
on
a
a
sphere
ball,
in.
bro. It doesn't work.
It
Literally does
does.
not work on a ball.
It
It
does. It
doesn't.
does if you map.
It
It
wouldn't.
does if
I
you
mean,
map.
you can say it
It,
doesn't, but you say it does, but it
it
doesn't. You have to
again.
have
It, it does.
You have to have the four quadrants like this.
It does if you map this in 3D, and there are many programs where the celestial sphere is simulated in all three dimensions, like Stellarium. And if you look at Stellarium, then you will see that they don't diverge, they don't converge, they travel in circles that are in parallel planes. That the planes in which they travel are parallel, they aren't diverging.
Well, they do, but it doesn't matter because we're not on a glob, bro. We're not moving, and there's no curvature, so that's the end of that anyway. But they do converge and diverge technically when you use the wheels properly, and you get your star
Oh,
positions in relation to one
well,
another.
if you want to reduce this conversation to begging the question and just stating that your position is correct because you think it's correct, then I think my time here is over
Well,
because it doesn't
Embo,
really lead
Yeah,
to
I mean,
anything.
it is what it is, bro. You can look into it and come back with what you find out and prove that they're equidistant from each other in the south and the north as they go back. They're parallel through the celestial equator. But once you get out past the celestial equator, you can even see it. Anybody can go observe the sky spreading out in two different directions when you look out west. That's the way it works.
can
It's
I,
an observable thing as well.
well, this
No,
is a
it
thing
in
that.
it
Well, Embo, did you want to respond? I was going to somewhat
yeah.
support what you were saying, but well, can I just say?
Okay,
You want to go?
last. Okay, go on, go on.
All right. Well, I was just going to say the thing about like the last image New Perspective posted that yes, when you have this like electric field dual pole structure above a planar surface, you do get this convergence divergence, especially in the far east and the far west. That the sky would have to like split basically, or something else would have to be occurring. So that is a pretty dramatic effect that would have to be occurring. And that's just out in the Pacific, which, I mean, you can get to some of those islands and that would be where the sky would be splitting and it's not splitting. So this is an issue that
It
I
is. It is. You
would
can see it spreading apart. Anybody can see it just looking. It's starting to spread apart. You can't see like an area where there's no stars and you see the stars going off in separate directions without any stars in between, maybe if you got out far enough, you could. He thinks that you'd actually see a doubling of the field, and there might be an illusion of a whole other system or a real another system right next to ours. But you can see the sky spreading apart. They don't stay parallel. They stay parallel through the celestial equator, and then they totally spread apart. And that's just visually apparent when you go out
Do
far
you have
enough east
any
or west.
images of that? Any
Yeah,
proof of it?
sure.
Well, okay. Well, if you want to or if you want to show me what you're talking about. But Embo, what I was going to say, just real quick though, Embo, even on the globe, like I understand this dual pole thing has certain things that are required and how the sky works and so on. But on a globe, just real quick, Embo, I'll just walk you through this really quick. If you're at 10 degrees north, okay, and you're going to do what's called a small circle route, which means on a globe you're going to stay at 10 degrees north. So you're at 10, you're going to stay in 10, and you're going to keep traveling on 10 degrees north. They call that a small circle route on a globe. Do you agree, Embo, that you would, if you're going west, 10 degrees north, that you would, and you stay on 10 degrees north, that you would be having to turn your vessel to the right as you do that trip?
Yes.
Okay. And then you would agree that in the south, if you go 10 degrees south and you're going west, that you would have to turn your vessel to the left to do a small circle route, right?
Yes.
So doesn't that imply that the stars are separating because you got to turn right at 10 degrees north, the stars that are at 10, you got to turn left to go left. Just, yeah, that, like that one that New Perspective just posted. Well, that's just the star field. That's not really splitting in the east. But okay. But anyways, so
Yeah,
so
there's some other images where you can see the sky spreading and it's just the sky spreading, like with the Milky Way actually splitting apart.
well, that because that
spreading
happens
out
everywhere.
Guys,
from its
I hate
That
to be this guy, but where are you guys posting this stuff? Because I'm not finding it. Where is it?
Live
at?
right
stream.
above our chat, the live stream one text. So
Okay.
you have to
Okay.
get out of this call, get out of this area, and then look above where we are in this room.
It's just right above the voice channel. It says live stream one text. Yeah. And then there's an audience text for like a side chat for people that want to have convos like that are just listening. We try to keep the live stream text for the stuff we're actually posting.
Okay.
But
There you go. I got you. Thank you.
no, but Embo, so you see what I'm saying though about on the globe, like 10 degrees north, you're turning your vessel right and the stars are going right. 10 degrees south, you're turning your vessel to the left. So isn't that in a way a form of a divergence? That was the end.
It is. It is. But it is due to the underlying spherical shape of the Earth, of the surface. But the sky, it's not the Earth. There is no actual such thing as a celestial sphere. It's basically a byproduct of how we perceive the sky. That because basically all of the stars are very far away. They are basically infinitely far away. We don't have any references for how perspective would look like there because they all appear at the same distance as us. So we imagine it's on some kind of sphere that surrounds us, but it's not an actual sphere. And if you let's imagine you cut this spherical Earth with planes. Like you can imagine putting a flat plane through a sphere, right? And if you do this for every latitude circle, then even though some of those would be small circles and only the equator would be a great circle, those planes, those circles are on, they will be all parallel. And because the celestial sphere is just a projection of the Earth into the sky, then those circles in which those stars will be traveling at different latitudes, they also will be parallel. They wouldn't be diverging. And the fact that you have to diverge, you have to accelerate in order to stay in such a small circle on the Earth, this doesn't have any consequences in the sky because, again, the sky is not an actual sphere you're traveling on. It's just a byproduct of where you are standing on the Earth and how do you see the sky from there. So how do you, the way you need to move on the Earth in order to maintain this trajectory is irrelevant to how you will see the sky.
Okay.
So you're looking for a mechanism then, right? A mechanism for why it would do that on a flat Earth? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm just explaining that on the globe they aren't diverging, they are traveling in parallel planes.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. That the globe, this is kind of where there's a conversion though. Is that the globe claims that you're on a ball that's essentially turning, and then the stars they have to make the stars kind of infinitely far away in order for the globe model to be, which ultimately that's invoking a planar geometry because they say that the light rays are all coming in parallel. But I do hear what you're saying. I mean, when you have a globe and you have these stars that are way out there, they would all be intersecting the globe, at the points that they are. So you're saying that the stars are not actually doing any converging or diverging. It's the person on the ground essentially. Because if you're 10 degrees north and you're traveling west, you got to turn your vessel a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right as you're going. If you're 10 degrees south, you're going a little bit to the left, a little bit to the left. And of course, that's what the sun does as well. Like when the sun is 10 degrees north, it arcs around the North Pole. And when the sun's at 10 degrees south, it arcs around the South Pole. That's one of the things that does not work with the AE map at all. The AE map should have concentric circles and it should continue looping around the north, but it does not. It completely arcs the other way. Everything arcs the other way from the south going south. That's always been an issue with the AE map, one that we've discussed over the years. I had never had like a solution for it. And when Globe guys would debate it, I would never, say that I had a solution for that. Just in terms of it, at least not with the AE map, if the AE map was the thing that was being debated, meaning that was always an issue for that. So, but I do hear what you're saying, but you see how, I guess my only response to what you're saying is that you see how there's a conversion though. One of them is that you're on a planar surface and that the sky is the thing that's, let's just say, curving to make it easy right now. Whereas on the globe, it's the globe that's curving. Like when you're doing that small circle route at 10 degrees north, your orientation is changing as you go along a curved surface, which accounts for why the sky appears the way that it does. So without going into tons more complexity, because if other people want to get into and so on, but can you at least understand like what I'm saying is that there's like a conversion, a difference between the ground being curved and you're making a curved path along the ground with the infinite stars versus the actual sky having some curved effect and you're on a planar Earth, how there can be a transform and like an overlap and how those would appear?
I would say that you can always map the stars the way you want if you assume that light can bend whatever way you want, disregarding laws of physics completely. So that really isn't an accomplishment saying that is equivalent, because if you force it to be equivalent, then it will be equivalent. But if you don't do the magic bendy light the way Alan and Shane do, and just assume that the star is in this place and you draw a line of sight to it, then this is where you will see it, then no, it wouldn't really work, because even on your dual pole, this dual pole is supposed to be only in a particular direction on the Earth, right? Like on this map you are posting, it's on the bottom of the map. So the countries that are, let's say, at the top, like Russia and Europe in general, this actually may make sense. This may make sense because they wouldn't see the south because they are north from the equator. Oh yeah, it actually may make sense, but it will still make it. It will still not completely make sense, because I guess it still distorts it. It's just not distorting it that much as a map.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that, I mean, the dual pole like images that people, and then with like the stars, I don't think that that's necessarily like, because it's kind of just doing it in like 2 dimensions, obviously, so it's not really like a whole 3D world. So it's kind of not necessarily a perfect representation. It's like orthographic and so on. But I was going to say, because I'm not referring to any bendy light necessarily, when I was referring to, like, for example, you could have a like planetarium, which has a flat floor and a dome ceiling, and then you could replicate what the stars look like. And in theory, you could have 1,000 planetariums across a huge flat field or a massive flat surface. You could have 1,000 planetariums, and you could represent different positions of stars. So that's why I was saying like a curved sky. And when you make a planetarium, you do kind of have to make a hemispherical dome, which is interesting as well. So I was just saying that there is a conversion, like even on Stellarium itself, you can put on the azimuthal grid, which just assumes the ground is a flat circle essentially around you. Now we could get into that whole discussion, but like, whether the stars can be represented with a flat baseline and a hemispherical dome, I would say they absolutely can. That's what a planetarium is. That's what Stellarium is. And there are like more nuanced arguments getting into that, but ultimately you could have thousands of planetariums all across a flat surface, and you could replicate the sky, different positions of the sky. So you don't need a globe to represent what the sky is. I understand how the globe describes it though, and the explanation, how they say, well, the Earth, the surface is curved and the stars are far away. I mean, this could get into a more detailed conversation, which, I mean, if others want to get into, we were going to talk about if New Perspective was going to say why he doesn't think there's a Pac-Man effect on the dual pole. We could shift it or whatever, because this could get very detailed if we got more into it.
There's a video I just sent you, Gio, if you want.
But I'm just saying, but just to finish that, I'm just saying in general, I was just saying how you don't need a globe Earth to represent the sky. You can have the planetariums, but that has a curved sky to it, a curved sky effect. And
Do you understand that, Elbow? Do you understand what he means?
Yes, but you would still need bendy light. It's again the fact you change a projection to a different one, it still would not preserve the angles you have to the stars. It's just that it would distort a different way. It will maybe not distort that much in Antarctica, but let's say, for instance, you are so from Antarctica on this map, right? Then you will have stars. You will have stars that are basically approximately at the equator, right? You will see some of them, and then you will see them looking what is on this map down. But in reality, their GPs are up. They are up even further up than Antarctica. So this is just a random example I came up with right now. But I'm just giving, it's not the only example where it's wrong. I'm just giving you an example to illustrate that just because you selected a different projection, it doesn't solve the problem, because that's just how geometry works. Like, it isn't that you have to test it for every single model. You can just mathematically prove that for every single possible flat Earth model in existence, you wouldn't be able to preserve the angles to the star. They would just distort in a different way, but you will still need the dark angles. You'll still need the bendy light.
Do you find it interesting that you can make planetariums and it look exactly like what we see?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, like, you don't need a curved floor to replicate the sky at all. You can do it with a flat floor and a dome ceiling. That's the thing.
But do you think there is a projector following an observer everywhere they go that projects the sky for them?
I think I might know what you mean. Well, in a planetarium, you can pull up any latitude and longitude. You know, like the really advanced ones, you can just click it in and boom, it pulls up that spot. You know, any latitude and longitude of the sky. Basically, right ascension, declination are the equivalent of latitude and longitude of the sky. So you can pull that up from anywhere. Are you trying to say that if you linked a bunch of them together, you would need to curve the ground, essentially? Is that what you're going at?
That's also true. Yeah, that's also true. But my point was basically that it's not analogous because the mechanism is not analogous. In a planetarium, you have a projector that is projecting an image for people who are inside. So in order to make this analogous, you would have to have a projector that is. You would not only have to have a dome that is following a person, and every single person would have their own separate dome, unlike a flat Earth where you have only one dome. But you would also need a projector that would be following every single observer, so they would have like a projector in a backpack, in their backpack, right? That is projecting their sky for them everywhere they go. So the mechanism is completely not analogous. In fact, it's so absurd that it basically you could use it as a debunk for flat Earth, because obviously you don't have people working around with domes following them and with projectors following them.
Okay, I'm following what you're saying.
Unrealistic.
Go ahead, Jared.
I was just gonna say that's just unrealistic. I mean, you're just discounting the fact that you can go into a planetarium. You could, I mean, somebody could bring you in there, and then, I mean, it wouldn't totally fake you out, but they could get pretty dang close. I don't know if you've ever been to one, but Gio's right. You could type in any type of GPS now. That really like sophisticated, give you the zenith version of each star almost.
Yeah, so
I do agree, but
Emma, let me just.
uh,
Can I respond, or do you want to go again? If you want to respond to him, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just wanted to clarify. In a planet, because this way we will maybe make my analogy why this is not analogous more clear. In a planetarium, every single observer sees the same sky because they are inside of one single dome, and which with one single projector that is projecting an image into this dome. if you want to believe that there are basically different planetariums with different images at the same time, every single observer would have to have their own different dome, not a single one dome, and their own different projector. And I don't think there's a physical mechanism that would account for something like this. So if you think about this like that, then planetarium actually debunks flat Earth, because in planetarium, regardless of where you are inside of the dome, you see the same exact sky for the same exact time.
Well, I think what it represents is the fact that it's domes like, we see in that way. So when we're looking at a reality and we're seeing in that way, like, I don't know, that kind of does it for me.
So
Gio, I'm going to be muted, but I'm just paused on the video that if you want to share it and put it on the live stream, just this one clip of what I'm going to use for the final piece, just so people can get over the whole Hawaii to New Zealand idea with the whole not working because it's longer and all that, the Pac-Manning. If we could just get over that. Ewan explains that his maps point for point, the same exact distance, coordinate to coordinate as the globe shows.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely interested in that. The only thing, if it's a short clip, that's one thing. But the thing is, like, not everyone in here, like, some people are just listening, they're not watching. So if we all start to watch a video, it kind of ends the combo for at least a little bit. Is it like a long video, short video? What's the?
No, it's short. It's
like how many minutes? You want to show it? Is what you're saying? Like shift everyone to watching it, or did you want to explain what's in it, or either way? Well, let me just whatever.
Well, it's a sneak peek of it. I can stop it after he explains the first part of it.
Either way, yeah, we can do whatever. Let me just respond to Embo, and then I have been going back and forth with Embo here. We can shift it up, and because these are all like thick topics with a lot of layers to them. But I just want to say, Embo, I do hear what you're saying. Now, one thing I just want to say is what the Earth is the Earth. You know what I mean? The sky is the sky. So the Earth, just what it is, it is. So if it's not curving and it's not moving, then it's not curving and it's not moving. So there's nothing really about the sky that has to debunk what the ground is per se. The sky could be anything. We can't access it. We can't get up there and touch it, etc. However, I do agree that the sky does seem linked to the Earth. Like, you can do celestial navigation. You have ground positions that are very consistent. You have the seasons, the sun, the moon. So I'm not saying the sky is just some random TV screen that could just be anything. Obviously, there is a connection between the ground and sky. However, the ground just is what it is. So, I mean, if the ground isn't curving and isn't moving, then it's just not a globe, no matter what the sky is. Even if we never figure out what the sky is, could it be some complex holographic? Even if we never figure it out, if the ground is flat and stationary, then the ground is flat and stationary. So I just want to say that. Secondly, though, like using the sky as the thing to like prove the ground is where it gets tough, because there's different ways the sky can be perceived. But I just want to say that, first of all. Secondly, I do hear what you're saying. Like, first of all, the idea that there's a huge dome is one thing, but then the idea that we all have like a personal atmospheric dome or our own personal dome. And I hear what you're saying, that like the idea, like, I think you said like a backpack and everybody would have a projector on their backpack. That was kind of a cool way of thinking about it. So we all have a little projector that's projecting out our own little planetarium. And I do hear what you're saying, that would sound like not viable and unrealistic, that would be. However, like, I'll just say this lastly, like, I'm not convinced that over a planar stationary Earth, that the stars are just, light bulbs up there, that they're just, they're just bulbs. They're just right where they are. Sort of like if you have a room with light bulbs in the ceiling. Like, I'm not convinced that that's what the sky even is. Now, this would go more into speculation, and I'm not trying to get, say this as some debate point that people can say, oh, you're saying it's magic. Like, I'm not trying to do that. But I am saying, like, I am open to the idea that the sky is something very, very complex, where it could have like two concepts. I'll say lenticular lenses. That's like the thing where you have like, it's one of those like kind of plastic rigid things, and it looks like Superman, and then you tilt it and it's Batman, and you tilt it and it's Superman. Or you see, you tilt it and you get a different image. Some of them even have three images. You guys have seen those, like on like, in cereal boxes, they have those little they call them little hologram things or whatever. And when you tilt it, you get a different image. Well, that's called
that's old school.
It's called a lenticular lens. And with a lenticular lens, it redirects the light into a different portion of whatever's behind it, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. So that concept of lenticular lens, and possibly holographic, the way holograms work. Now, I know that some people are if it's a debate thing, they're going to point their finger and say, oh, you're saying the sky is magic, and do their ridicule thing. But I'm not really looking for that right now. I'm just saying I'm open to that the sky is not just a basic thing of just lights up on a flat plane and that's all it is. I'm open to the ideas that it could be something like that, like a very complex lenticular holographic manifestation, with there still being consistent ground positions. So there could still be consistent ground positions of stars, and there could be some kind of huge dual pole system occurring. But the way we see the sky, depending on our position, our latitude and longitude, is it's consistent with ground positions, but it also displays itself as a lenticular hologram. Now, I know that might sound speculative. It is speculative because some of the points Embo's bringing up and some of the other ones we've talked about are challenging to reconcile with a flat Earth in terms of the angles and some of these components. And I do understand some of the nuances of those arguments. Now, we would have to know the layout of the continents. We'd have to know more. But I'm saying the sky may not just be as simple as just, oh, yeah, flat plane of stars above a flat Earth. I mean, there's already issues with that. The way that everything looks as though it's, going down the way that it does. The angular size of the sun doesn't change, which normally it would if it was just a basic flat plane with a thing above, the plane. There's that thing to contend with as well. Now, none of that means the Earth is a globe, though. That's the thing. Like, we could have a sky. And I know people want to say, oh, magical sky, and they want to do their ridicule thing. But whatever it is, it is. So outside of any ridicule, we're just trying to get to what the truth is. And if the Earth isn't a globe, then that's out. And we need to, consider further. So anyways, I guess that's kind of the end of what I'm saying. But some of the points Embo's bringing up, yeah, there
Real
is
quick,
validity.
KGO, I don't. If people want to watch some of this, I'm gonna mute up and just pause on that. But if you want to have me show this this little sneak peek for people, just to get over the whole coordinate system. I mean, as far as magical goes, we're not on a globe. We're not spinning, and we're not upside down, right side up, and all that. I mean, talk about magical. So that part of it
Right.
is way harder to accept than the sky working in a way that doesn't intuitively seem like it works with the flat Earth at first until you figure it out. Like I think E1 has, and so that's just I mean, he's not claiming I know it all. It's just this is how it works with two poles on a flat Earth with the coordinate systems exactly like the globe has. It's just that the international date line goes halfway up north of north and halfway down south of south, and never the twain shall meet. I mean, you're not going to go circumpolar navigation across the international date line all the way up to the North Pole. That's why they haven't done that. That's the blue side of the ball. And if you traveled across the blue side of the ball, that's like the same amount of land or amount of area that they give us for the whole continent side of the ball. So traveling from from Hawaii to New Zealand, even visually, is way longer than they make it look when they draw a straight line with the international date line just right there. Like it's just a little short path. It's like 10 plus hours, you have to go. But the coordinate system, point for point, goes exactly the same. It's just the international date lines where they hit it. It's halfway up north of north and halfway down south of south. And then your compass is going to take you around either north or south. And the compass only points north, which is why people think there's only one pole, or they get the idea the AE map works because the compass is always going to point north. That's just the way it works. It's one circuit, it points north. And so you follow that heading, even if you're going around the south, you're following it because it's pointing north. Even if it goes south of south, it's pointing north because that's the way the magnetic field line works. The magnetic field lines answer everything. The magnetic, all of it is just a electrical magnetic system we live within and under, and I think it works, pretty much like he's saying, and at least that's the way it could work. And you don't have to believe it or think it or agree with it or any of that. It's just that it works, So if you want a map that actually has the coordinate systems with the way the flight times work, with the way the shipping routes work, without any pack manning, the way the sun works, with all the GPS of the sun and the stars working over the land, they should be with a two-pole system. We have that now. So
Where are you going to be playing?
It's almost 3. It's getting late now, so I have to either play this or just play it another time, I guess.
Okay, how many minutes is it, or what are you thinking? Is it you're sharing yours? It's on your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Just go ahead and if you want to share it with the I'd like to hear what Embo says about this, to be honest. So if you want to share, if it gets too long or something and you want to stop it, but it's pretty quick.
All right, but the thing is, when
So-
we're having an active conversation, the thing is, not everyone's watching it. First of all, if we do like an actual event where we're doing it, that's one thing. So we can do
No,
it.
no,
if you
no.
want. All
It's
I'm
either
saying
now
is-
or never. You don't have to show it. I can go. I mean, it's just exactly what you're talking about, and we could just like meander about the conversation and consider both things for like another hour, or maybe this will give people like an answer to some of these simple questions really quickly.
Okay,
Or just
well, I'm
post
just
it in the
asking
side
'cause
chat.
all I'm saying is that when we watch a video, like the VC goes quiet, the conversation shifts. So I'm just asking, is it? I mean, it says 21 minutes. Are you expecting to do a 21-minute?
I'll play 5 minutes. I'll play 5 minutes of it. It's just the first part I ask him about it. I'll stop it after
Or,
that. if you want.
or post it in the side chat and we can watch it when we can.
No, either way, it's all good. We can watch a video. All I'm saying is that it's just if it's like a longer watch event, that's one
No,
thing.
this is an unlisted cut that I'm going to add to the. I'm just willing to share it right now because people
Hey, Dan,
I think people are confused and people are set on the Pac-Manning, and we could just get over that really quickly if you want us to watch it. Otherwise, I can come back
can I
another
ask
time and show
questions?
the final
Can I
piece
ask,
and everything.
No,
can I
that's
ask
cool.
you questions
I just
as you're
didn't know
playing it?
if it's 20 minutes, that's probably going to shift things, and we should.
No,
maybe
I
do
don't
it.
need to. No, I don't need to play 20 minutes of it. Let me just show you.
Well,
Let me just show you the flight times Hawaii to New Zealand, which people are hung up on. That's
and
the
if we're
very
able to
beginning.
stop and talk about it, that would like be people would be more into it. You know what I'm saying? So if we can do that, then that would make it a lot
I only
easier.
have the clip, and I'd like to hear what Embo's response is, because then
All
I
right.
can go back to E1 and say, "Here's what he said about it."
Okay,
Okay.
that's
All
good
right, so-
too. That's cool.
If you want to do a 5-minute, that's cool. Embo, did you have any response to anything I said before we watch this clip? Is there any thoughts wrapping up before we watch this?
Not really. I think we can just watch the video.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you want to do this, I've got it shared on the live stream, and yeah, we'll just. So yeah, we're not ending the convo, anyone. We're just gonna watch this. If you want to join your perspective stream, it'll just be a few minutes. We're gonna watch this. I'll share it on the stream, and then it'll help move the conversation since we're on this kind of realm of discussion. So, yeah, go ahead.
I like it, Gio. I like it, baby.
Dude,
All right.
You came up with your understanding
Kenny,
that the sun's
what's
doing a
up?
figure eight way before TFE was even thought of. By the way, like
Dude, it's
you
weird.
knew it was going in a figure
I
eight.
put out this vibe, like reaching out to you. Did you feel it? Is that why you're here?
Hey, Jared, we're playing the video now. Hey, Jared, we're playing the video now. You're talking over, bro.
Oh, where's
You
it
know how
playing
to,
at?
yeah, you have to click on the thing on new perspective in the little box that shows where I'm playing a video. So click on my thing like you would click on somebody's name. So if you go to all the boxes people are in, you select the one that says new perspective with the dark screen. And I'm sharing my screen and you can watch it.
New perspective,
There?
by the way, it was pretty silent.
Okay, well I'll turn it up, I guess. I don't know why it was
I
silent.
could hear it I could hear it just fine.
Yeah.
You don't need
Okay.
sound. Just for
You may
Alright,
just
so-
have to turn me. You have to turn me up or something, Embo.
Well, when you watch his stream, there's a separate volume like in the stream that you can adjust. So you have to make sure that volume's up. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Flip up from the bottom, Embo. If you flip up your where you have your microphone, it'll give you stream volume.
Yeah,
You can
got it.
turn that all the way up.
Just start the video.
It wasn't me talking, but I also cannot hear it, and I
Oh, I'm
have
sorry. I
my
get
volume.
you and Snooze. I get you and Snooze mixed up. I don't know why. But
Alright,
yeah,
so-
sorry.
Shitty Europeans. Okay, go ahead. Play the video.
Alright,
Very
so
similar
yeah.
sounding. You.
New perspective. The only reason I mentioned it is because when we're in like a flowing live stream like this, if someone does a longer video, if it ends up being 10, 20, 30 minutes, it just shifts it. Like people don't really, they pop in, they pop out, they don't hear anything. That's all I'm saying. If it's shorter,
Yeah.
it tends to, and all I'm saying is that if it's generally longer, it's better to like have it be like a little mini event or something where we're going to like watch a video. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
I mean,
I just spontaneously offered this just for now because I'm not releasing the final anyway. But this just will help explain some of these things that the globe says only works on a globe, and this is how it would work with two poles, flat Earth, no Pac-Manning, Hawaii to New Zealand explained. I'll just show that part. And if you want to just pipe in and say that's
Okay.
enough, and then I'll stop it.
Go,
if
go,
you
go.
want. All right, everybody's in. Jared, did you find out how to do the whole looking at someone's share screen? Okay. Figure eight. But, you came up with your understanding that the sun's doing a figure eight way before TFE was even thought of, by the way. Like you knew it was going in a figure eight. But the timing on this now coming to light with your map and the 24-hour sun working on a dual pole, people often, are just going to, throw it away as it's almost like it's too in your face because it looks so much like the globe. It matches the globe one for the coordinate system. Oh, explain Hawaii to us about the coordinate system real quick. Now that I thought of it, Hawaii to New Zealand. The people are saying that it doesn't make any sense with your map. How are they going on an airplane from Hawaii all the way down to the other corner, which is either New Zealand or Australia?
Okay. Well, let's go with this. You were talking about something. I had my mind on something else, and I forgot what I was going to say. But let's go ahead and go with this. So on my map, I know that my Hawaii is off by about 10 degrees. It should be up here. I just have to do the corrections of the equidistance to the polyclonic mix to make it right. But this is where I believe Hawaii is going to be sitting right here in the northwest quadrant at 155 and 22 degrees or 20 degrees north latitude. So if you're going to go to New Zealand or Australia, you're just going to follow the track just like you would on any map that you're going to use, and follow the GP to go west. How can I put that? You're going to go west.
They have it on the maps. They're showing it goes straight across the international date line in a diagonal form, like that. Yeah, right to left. And
okay, well, this is the international date.
This is what we were talking. Yeah, the international date line starts there. So even though you're going around the top, you're still going west, even though you're going left to right. And that's what people need to understand, because it works the same way. Just because they're showing you the coordinate system with a diagonal going, down from right to left, even over the middle, and I don't know exactly how that would work, but yeah. So if it goes over the middle, then that's exactly what it would do. So draw out the path of a flight that goes from Hawaii to New Zealand. Yeah. Now it's going west, even though it's going the opposite direction of through the middle, because the international date line and coordinate system makes it work that way, that their coordinates are going east to west always, east to west around the circle.
And I want to also show you too. I am going south when I'm going this way. I'm not going north, because north is this way, is to this point. North is not here. So if you're going from here to here, you're going north. When you're going around here, you're going southwest.
Right, because the coordinate system works that way for it to lead to the south along those magnetic field lines. Right.
And the funny thing about all this is, the main thing that you have to realize is it's not that I'm saying this is what it is. This is what it is. If you take a compass, you cannot use a compass on something that doesn't use two poles. You have to have a north and a south. You can't have a ball. You can't have a disc, a pie plate that doesn't have a south pole, because you have to have the declination. And that's what gives you your declination. As soon as you get away from your prime meridian, you do your equation of your, it's called your declination equation, which is just I'm not going to pull it out right now, but it's just an equation that you do to wherever you're at your longitude and longitude. You do this equation, it gives you your declination for your magnetic heading. Well, that won't work on anything other than a two-pole grid system that has a north, a south, an east, and a west, a four-quadrant grid. That's the only way you can do it. It doesn't.
And you were saying it only points. The compass is only going to point north, and that's part of the reason people think, it has to be one pole. We only see one pole with the compass.
New perspective. Can we now talk about that? Maybe?
Well, so a compass can only point to north because it's only going to the positive. part of the magnetic field. But so when you get into the southern part, you're pointing north, but it's following the same magnetic field. It just follows it opposite of the southern pole. It's not like you have a compass that points south. People might want to go, oh, I got out my compass and look, I can point it at 180 degrees. No, you're pointing at the opposite end of the needle. So your needle is always going to follow these magnetic field lines. And it's not a question of whether it is this way. All you have to do is look at any of the polar exploration, any of the Antarctic exploration, and what did every single one of them do? Every single one of them that went to the south traveled, no matter if they came from America or New Zealand or anyway, they went all the way around to 180 or 150 degrees and then started going up, so that they knew that they were at the international date line. They knew that they were at the furthest east, no more west than they could go. They went as far east as they could go and not into the west. And then they started going up to the southern pole. They did the same thing with the North Pole in the 1800s. So I mean, you can see that's how all of our explorers worked. All of our admiralties convincing of the world to change the prime meridian to the UTC or the Greenwich Mean Time. All of this was done because it is a two-pole system. It couldn't have been done any other way. You can't have a one pole. You can't have a magnetic field that doesn't meet up with its opposite or its opposing field.
I think people are. I think that's one of the things that lends, people to favor one pole because of the compass always pointing north. So if they're in the south, real quick, just to clarify, if they're in the south and they want to go around the south in the same way, they're not using the South Pole as a compass reading to go by. They're still pointing to the North Pole and using it as a way of getting around the south. So they'll be able to know their heading and their declination and everything, regardless of the poles. But if you're using a compass, it's not like you can go around the south in the same way you can go around the north with a compass, right? Or how does it work?
Oh yeah, no, you can. No, you can go around the south and using your compass.
Right.
You're just going to be.
Where is it pointing then?
It's pointing north.
Right. Okay.
So when you're going around, it's pointing like this. If this is north, right, and you're sitting here, it's going to be pointing like this. As soon as you walk over, let's say you were at the South Pole and you moved 1,600 feet to the south of from here. You actually you're at the South Pole and you move that much distance. Your magnetic field or your compass would point this way. So you can use it
because
as a southern.
You're saying it points to the outside because that's now north in the same way south was pointing out from north in the south. I mean, in the north.
There you go.
South was pointing. Okay.
Right.
So
but you have to look at the magnetic field. It's not just always pointing out. It's the declination from how far it is from the prime meridian tells you how far that declination is. It's going to be the same as the north, but you can see that here. Right here, if we were sitting here, we could literally sit there and move 100 degrees, and our needle will stay in point south
and that's
or point north.
And yeah, so that's where people really they get so set on discarding the idea of a two pole because of the magnetic declination showing there's just the North Pole. It's always pointing north. If there was another pole, we would see all kinds of crazy compass readings in the south, or magnetic declination wouldn't work the same. These are some of the things that I think get people sat on the idea that it has to be just one pole in the center and everything revolving around that, because that's what
Right, but
a lot of things seem to be showing with the compass and
maybe talk about it
interferometry coming from one source and all that kind of stuff.
One more minute, and that's it. Just let him say
circuit that works with the north and the south, which could actually give you, the misunderstanding of it being a one-pole system.
So you can see, though, it's when I talk about magnetic declination, I'm not talking about something I'm figuring out or that I'm guesstimating. There's an actual equation for your compass error, and it is sin. And these are calculus or scientific calculators that you're going to have to use to do this, or you're going to just have to do it in your head. But these are trigonometry, but sin multiplied by the declination, and that's just the declination of u to Polaris, divided by the cos multiplied by the latitude. And then once you get that actual amplitude or whatever that compass error is, you multiply it by 60. And that's the amplitude. You multiply it by 60, and that will give you your compass error. It's not something I came up with. This is well known in any type of astronomical or any type of topographical mapping. These are things that I didn't come up with. You can find out your declination, and you have to have a two-pole system in order to do this. There's no magnetic declination on one pole.
Take that, Mongos.
Okay, thanks. I would like to respond briefly.
You need to put that video up.
About this dual pole. The whole system, in my opinion, doesn't work. If you, for example, would say, from Hawaii you just travel whatever southwest or so, and this is going on the top around, it would take way longer than just traveling from, for example, Central America to Australia, but that's not the case. Also, traveling from Japan to America, for example, to Florida, would just going from Japan going east to America, which would lead to the right on that map, and then the whole way up around the North Pole, and then coming from the left again to America. But it would be way shorter to just fly over China and Russia going to America. And we know in which direction
I've asked him about Japan.
I'm not done.
I'm sorry. I've asked him about Japan. He's shown me the same line. It just follows right straight up the coast and goes exactly the same way. It's the same coordinate system. And there's also the jet streams. They use the jet streams, so they take the shortest path with the jet streams and whatever works best.
No, jet streams don't work. That's a stupid argument, because in both directions it's pretty short. So America to Japan,
whatever it is, I mean,
America to Japan is America to Japan is similar distance as America to Europe. That does not work at all with its jet streams, and you have simultaneous flights, one going from Japan to America, one going from America to Japan. They both have pretty short times compared to circumnavigating the whole globe. The same is, you can measure from Hawaii to the west coast of the US to Japan and to New Zealand, and they are all roughly the same time, which absolutely does never ever work on the dual pole map. The second thing
I have to go in a second, but just real quick, it's point for point, the exact same distance, the exact same coordinate system. There's no difference, and you can bring out your proof about the difference, but technically it is exactly the same. You're just following around the pole. Well, you can just claim that, but it actually does work. But you have to like give the details at some point. You know, it actually does. It's not about ruler. It's about coordinate system, point for point. And it goes exactly the same.
No, wait a second. That's just a lie. It's not just coordinate system. Yes, coordinates are the same, but you claim it's a flat land. And on a flat land, you can just lay down a ruler and measure the distances. So measure the distance from the west coast of the US to Hawaii on that map, measure Japan to Hawaii, and measure New Zealand to Hawaii. And then compare this with actual flight times. It does not work out at all.
You can just claim that, but it actually does work.
Ridiculous.
You know, I can claim it does work. You can claim it doesn't. It doesn't matter if I claim it and you claim it. You'd actually have to look at the coordinate system and see which one actually matters. The problem is, bro, we're not on a ball. We're not spinning. So it has to work on a flat Earth. And this actually is point for point, the same exact coordinate system. So I don't know what to.
So go back to your screenshot and just take the measurements from Hawaii to the west coast of the US and from Hawaii to New Zealand. And you will find out it's 3 times the distance from Hawaii to New Zealand.
All right, well, that's not true. But that's not true. But there's no reason for us to just argue back and forth me saying I'm right, you're wrong, and you saying the same. But I'd like to hear what
Again,
Embo says about it. If
you
Embo
have
has some
the
constructive
possibility now.
ideas, that's not just it's not flat, because we already know it's flat. The globe was debunked a long time ago. All right.
Come on.
Nobody that realized it's not a globe is going to go back to thinking they're upside down, spinning on a globe anymore. There's no way you could ever get somebody to start believing that again. So it's already over for the glob. Sorry.
Prove me.
It's already over.
Can I get one word out? So you have the chance to prove me wrong. Take a screenshot of the map, put a ruler there.
I'm not gonna do your error.
You're just interrupting because you cannot stand that someone gives you comfort.
You guys,
you can just claim it, dude. There's no reason to yell.
Yeah, can we just chill? We can just have the conversation. It's all good. Like, nobody's mind has to be changed right now. We can just discuss it. Now, Snooze, just to be clear what you're talking about, I just took one of these basic kind of dual pole kind of general layouts. Is this what you're referring to? Are you saying that green line from Hawaii to the West Coast is the same as to Japan and to New Zealand? Is this what you're referring to, Snooze?
Yeah, they are roughly the same. I think they are plus minus 1 hour distance or so. The one is a 4-hour flight, the other one is a 5-hour flight. So you can give this 20% more or less travel time.
Okay, so we can just go calmly through this. So this is what you're saying. A new perspective. You're saying these flights are the same distance, the green line and the two reds.
Sorry, I was muted. I was going to post even visually, you can just see like the blue side of the ball. You know, so if you're going from Hawaii to New Zealand, even just visually, you can see that it's like the whole distance that they give us for the continent size of the ball. But it doesn't matter because it's the coordinate system. Even if you wanted to think you're on a ball and you can see the 2-pole coordinate transform of the graticule, it would still work just the same because it's a transform of the graticule. The coordinate systems don't change because you put it in a 2-pole flat Earth. It's still the same coordinate system point to point. But his works actually with the prime meridian correction to make the stars GPs line up with the converging and diverging star trails in the north and the south to line up with the right land areas, which is the difference between just using a coordinate system transform and the new layout, which actually works with the star system, which nobody has. He could actually help naval people navigate with his system that he figured out. But yeah, we have the whole blue side of the ball, and when they show the flight path on just like the flight times or whatever, you see that like short distance as if you're just going across the international date line, and New Zealand's right there and Hawaii's right there. But when they show the globe, I mean, there's that whole blue side of it that you have to go across all that ocean. And it's the same thing as going around the ocean, around the flat Earth, which we already know we live on. So I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sold.
You're just saying believe on it without any proof, as if we are all supposed to accept
every single second of the day is proof, dude. You experience a flat and stationary Earth 24/7. Everybody, whoever existed, has always experienced a flat and stationary Earth their whole lives, and that's the way it will always be.
Okay, so hold on. So just what'd you say, Larry?
Unless you turn on TV. Go ahead.
For an idea,
just real quick, hold on. I have these that actually NASA Chill grabbed these, and I took these screenshots. So this is the flight. This is Australia to Hawaii on like basically what they refer to it on the globe, and then this is this one. So new perspective, like this next one I'm going to post. You're basically saying that line is the same distance of what it would be on a dual pole going all the way around, basically going down.
That line is a visual where they put Hawaii there, but when you look at the blue side of the ball, right, that's the whole blue side. Look at those arrows that I put on the blue side of the ball. That's how much distance the glob shows us. So you can visually make it look a little shorter by showing it like that, or however you want to make it look visually. But point for point, a transform is a transform. That's just coordinate for coordinate, and technically it's exactly the same.
Okay.
And that matches good with your GP, right? That was kind of one of your things, Geo, was the GP with the stars. Is that?
I'm not. I mean, well, yeah. With the there is like one GP for each star at any one moment. Whether this matches. I mean, I'm not really saying one way or another what New Perspective is saying. I'm kind of hearing them out. I understand the contention of this and some of the dual pole distances. I understand what he's saying. I haven't mapped it. I haven't verified it. I mean, the GPs of the stars is a slightly different thing, but it would be related though. Yeah, you would have GPs and these distances and so on would have to be. I'm just kind of hearing out, the sides.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I was kind of my Discord stopped working for some time. I have to correct myself. So that the timing difference is bigger between Hawaii and the East Coast, but it's still it wouldn't work. It's too much time on this dual pole map. And the other thing is that is problematic in my opinion with the dual pole map that the equinox is hard to represent because the times like plus minus a week around the equinox, you can basically see the sun on both poles at the same time, and you see it basically navigating around the equator. And the other thing, sorry, New Perspective, you just claimed that magnetic fields on a globe doesn't work. They work absolutely perfectly. If you have just a stick magnet with the north and the south pole and you embed it into a ball, you can measure the magnetic directions all on every point on the surface. It works
I'm not saying,
perfectly.
I never said
He
that,
didn't
I
say
never
that.
said magnetic declination wouldn't work on a globe.
The video
It's
says
just the
it.
same. It's a magnetic field lines from pole to pole, but
In
you
the
wouldn't have
video, it was
you can't have
claimed.
cardinal directions. You can't have cardinal directions on. You can't have the southwest be like just the southwest and northwest and southeast and south. It doesn't work that way because if you were on the blue side of the ball and you try to make that same coordinate system as if it's just a miscellaneous place, because they have that Point Nemo, where they say if they're going to crash the ISS into the Point Nemo, and you'd actually be further away from the ISS when it's crashed into Point Nemo, which is like pretty much dead center of the blue side of the glob, but actually it'd be a southwest coordinate, and that's what the coordinates are for it. It's in the southwest area, far off to the west. And you could think of it as like a ball. You can keep your ball. You can keep the idea that you're on a ball. I'm not trying to take that away from you. It just doesn't work coordinate system wise. And there's no cardinal directions on a ball because you can't just go west and keep going west and then end up in the opposite thing as a declination, a dead reckoning. You would just be taken around the south or around the north, whichever way your coordinates are headed towards. And if there's a armada of ships that you can see that's sitting right out there, and they move from the summertime in the north to the summertime in the south, and that there's a whole you can look at the tracker for the naval ships, and there's just like armadas of ships. I don't know if they're trying to block people or if there's something else going on, but you can just look on the naval ships that are sitting out there, and there's cardinal directions, for a two-pole flat Earth. There's not for a globe, and that's the big problem because that's the way all of the if you got the Weems and Plath Starfinder wheels, they work with northwest coordinate, southwest, east or north, east west or east or southeast, northeast, southwest, northwest. They have to work that way. You're in one of the four quadrants, and that's how you use the star charts. That's the only way to do the navigation. But they make it really hard, and especially with moving the prime meridian was the big thing he's talking about. It moves everybody off 30 degrees, and the sun's not in the right constellation for it to rise 60 degrees from your observation point, and that threw everything off. It made it really hard for people to navigate with everything working in sync. The prime meridian it's kind of a arbitrary spot where you start as far as the stars circling around. It still works technically, but it doesn't work with the way the sun's position is in relation to the constellation it should be in. But that'll all be in the video that I'm going to post with all of what E1 talks about.
Nice. Yeah, and does it also explain the northern star trails with in the southern also being opposite or whatever explains that as well.
Yeah, goes in the counterclockwise direction. He knew there was a
Right.
24-hour sun in the south before, like I said in the beginning of that, before the TFE thing, and I was telling him about the TFE thing. I was even telling him about the transformer, the two-pole graticule, and he already had that. And he's like, "Wait, that's just like my map." And then he realized the prime meridian, and that's something you can historically look into. They did move it. Used to run right over the pyramid, the Great Pyramid. That's probably why they built the Great Pyramid exactly where it is, because of the timing with the sun and the stars together. The only way for it to work with the timing of the sun to be in the right constellations, with everything in sync, is for the prime meridian to actually run over right where the Great Pyramid is, and instead of Greenwich. But when the Admiralty took over and moved the prime meridian, it masked everything. 33 degrees, no less. They moved it, and that's probably why the 33-degree thing is the 33 is a thing, because that's how they masked all of it for people not to be up to snuff on being able to know exactly where they are in relation to all the other stars in the sun, all in sync. It just made it them dependent on like this new coordinate system with the GPS and the graticule, the way they laid it out. And if you don't have that, then you're not on the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
How do
that's
you put this
interesting.
out?
Can I? I want to say something before New Perspective leaves.
Go ahead.
Did you have a question for him? You were saying, when is he going to
Yeah.
release it,
Yeah. When are you going to release the video?
the full video?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a teaser on my channel, and it'll link you to E1's channel where you can watch the full one.
All right.
Okay,
So can
cool.
I ask? I hear what you're saying about the meridian thing. That is interesting. Like if that was shifted and then that was allowed them to kind of do a deceptive coordinate system. Can I ask one thing though? The longitude lines on the globe are claimed to be straight, meaning if you would not, if you were going from north to south on any longitude line, you would not have to turn left or right. Now you'd be curving over the ball or whatever, but you would not turn left or right. So these longitude lines on these dual pole at the magnetic fields show the longitude lines curving. So what is your claim on that? Are you saying
But
the
wait
longitude
a
are not?
minute. Wait, why would it? How could it be a straight line on a ball?
Well, that's what a ball is. Like all the lines, the prime meridian is straight. Oh, they're all straight from north to south. I mean, they're curving around the curvature, like going over the ball, but you don't turn left or right. Kind of like on the equator on a globe, you don't turn left and right. Same thing with all the longitudes. They're all great circle routes. You don't turn left or right. But on the dual pole, they're all like they're curved.
I think that's where the conflation comes from, because they saw that it's a toroidal field. It works like a magnetic field, and that the magnetic field has curved lines, and they're like, oh, we could make them think the Earth is curving, not the lines, the magnetic field. It's all this conflation of the ball idea. You know what I'm saying?
So you're
But
saying
yeah,
the
you
longitude
wouldn't.
lines
15
are.
degrees is 15 degrees.
So then, are you
So it works.
well, are you saying that the only straight longitude line on a dual pole is the prime meridian? Every other one is curved, whereas the globe says they're all straight?
No, the globe has it just exactly the same way, because it all comes up to the point at the north, and they all go. It's like curving around a ball. It's not curving around a ball. It's just the magnetic field lines curve.
Okay, but on a globe, like if you were going from south to north on any longitude, where the stars are, etc., you would be taking a straight path. Like you would not curve your vessel left or right, whereas on a dual pole you would. So are you just saying that they are left to right curved and they're not straight?
Well, wait a minute. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. You don't have straight lines on a ball, right?
Yeah, they're straight. They're not straight.
They look exactly the same. These lines are. I
Dude,
mean,
Geo,
it's
wouldn't you need
exactly
a
the way they
Pac-Man
show the
effect
ball.
for that? Like,
No.
cause you know how he said they went down to the South Pole, or no, they went underneath the South Pole and then they went up. So, like, say they followed that straight line, and if you follow it on that map that he has, it kind of just goes up, and then you hit a limitation on this, circular, I guess, pattern. But maybe there's that Pac-Man effect where you pop right back out on the other side and you're still on that same coordinate line, if that makes sense. And that would kind of potentially, depending on like where you are, link with some of the old biblical stuff in what Enoch, where it says there's like 6 different portals that the sun goes into and comes out of. on its different path and it stays in a straight line. So, I mean, that maybe has a little bit of indication towards that as well.
When the Enoch is talking about the portals, I'm pretty sure they're talking about the constellations. Please continue.
I just put a GIF that I made, just 2 circles around the north and 2 circles around the south, just to show the idea of how the light spreads. I'll put a quick explanation of what it is. The magnetic field lines actually spread the light out according to the way that you want it, just the way it would work with a magnetic field. But I don't know what you're saying exactly about straight lines with the globe, Geo. I mean, it's the same. It looks just like the globe, the way the latitude and longitude lines are. It's exactly like the globe has it.
No, it's not. The globe is straight. Like
No, they have it going around a ball though.
Here,
So
I'm
it can't be straight.
Here, let me just
Oh, you mean like with a Mercator map type layout?
No, like this right here. Like I just took a random like grid of a sphere and I just did this real quick. What I'm saying is that all those longitude lines, they're essentially great circles on a globe. So you would, if you were to go on the globe from the north to the south on this longitude line, let's say you were going to stay exactly on this longitude and you were just to go, you would not curve like that red line I drew. You would not have to turn your boat to the left or to the right. You would literally, or your boat or your car or whatever. In theory, you would just go dead straight. Now you would be curving over a ball or whatever, like, you know, the vertical curvature or whatever, like you'd be 8 inches per mile dipping, whatever, but you're not left to right doing that, which is the same on the equator as well. On a globe, you would not turn left to right, but all the longitude lines are straight in that way. Whereas on
Are you following a compass? Are you using a compass on a globe? Because a compass, if you're following it, it's the same thing as like what we say with the AE map. I mean, if everything points north, you're not going in a straight line. You're just going around the north because your compass is taking you around in a circle, the same way you'd be going around in a circle on a globe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this case, I'm not really getting into the compass. I'm more talking about like just a straight line path. Like if you were just to, and all I'm saying is that on these dual pole type of layouts, I was going to post one. I mean, you've got, well, just like, or post the one that E1 has if you have, or just the one that shows that whole. I'm just trying to find one real quick that I could post just to show the comparison.
Let me just, I was just looking for the text that I wanted to accompany the explanation for the sun. Real quick, let me just post that so people can read. It's like clockwork. I mean, every single, it goes on March 21st at exactly 11 a.m. It crosses over and drops down to the southern toroidal field and starts circling there for the winter. And on September 21st at exactly 6 p.m., it loops back up and goes to the southern, to the northern toroidal field and starts circling around that. It charges in the south and discharges in the north, right? So once it's charged up enough, it goes to the north and then it circles around that toroidal field for 182 days. And then it drops and then it'll be halfway discharged. And that's when it drops to the southern and exactly to the minute, it goes exactly that, drops down on March 21st at 6 p.m. It starts looping to the south. And that's why we have shorter days in the north for the winter. And the light still spreads out because of the magnetic field. So that's why, and then all the, and also the heat and everything else is determined by the electromagnetic field that we live under and within.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not referring to that. Well, just real quick. I mean, this is what I'm referring to just with the longitude. So you see on the globe one, it's straight, and on this, they're curved. So I'm just saying that would have to be reconciled. And I'm not saying it's impossible.
Wait a minute. How is it straight on a globe? No, I didn't see that part.
Well, the one I posted at 20 minutes after, it's a straight, all the longitude lines are straight down. Like you wouldn't have to curve your vessel, whereas on this dual pole, you would. You'd have to curve across the land.
Oh, but they curve out. Like you see the ones to the sides, how they curve? It's the same thing.
No, but if you spin the ball, they're all straight.
Well, I mean, you can, I guess it's a matter of how you think of it, but you're still going to be using your compass, you know, to follow your point to point. So you can think of it as straight. I mean, but how would you know if it's straight?
I got a question.
Well, yeah, I mean, confirming whether you're actually making a straight line or not. We've talked about the complexity
Yeah,
of
the impossible.
how would you be able to?
You would never know. You're just
Okay,
following
if
magnetic
that's your
field lines.
response. So your response is that they potentially just are curved, and that's just part of the deception and then we just don't know because you've never gone in a plane and actually flown exactly. So you actually are making slight curves on the big surface of
Well,
Earth.
the globe claims you're curving over a ball, right?
Yeah, I know, but they don't claim on this. The longitude lines are all straight, whereas on the dual pole they have to be curved. That's all I'm saying. So it would have.
Yeah, it's just magnetic declination. You would never know the difference, right? Because how do you know what a straight line is without having something to refer, like a referential, which would be your magnetic declination, right?
Well,
Your
I mean, like
compass.
the ones that I drew there, though, like if you were gonna follow that one from the north to the south, like you'd be going like across, Europe and then the Middle East and then the east side of Africa. You would be making a massive curve across the land technically, whereas on a globe, you would just be it would just be straight. So I'm just saying that that's a difference. It's a pretty big
Yeah,
difference.
and you'd be upside down relative to being right side up by the time you got there, I guess. So, I mean, I guess take your pick of which one seems more absurd.
I have a question.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like irreconcilable. I'm just saying it's a difference that I would want to understand how that's happening. But yeah, go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, we know we're not on a ball, a lot of us already. So, I mean, kind of that's over with.
Where's the Bermuda Triangle on this? Because then there's also the Dragon's Triangle. I'm wondering if there's something funky going on at that coordinate.
It's right. It's right where it should be, right between South America and North America.
On the east side, right?
Yeah, east side.
And then there's the Dragon's Triangle, which is in Japan. You guys know about those two places, right? Weird magnetic shit happens there. It's everybody like gets lost. I'm wondering if there's something in that dual pole, those lines, if there's something weird happening.
Actually, he speculated back in the day, at least I think we talked about that recently, that there might be a third point, kind of like a triangle of the triangles, that would be kind of north of north, where another anomaly might exist for whatever reason. But that's before he started doing all this. He hasn't talked about that as much recently.
Because I mean that is factual, right? Like we could all agree that there are two places, and one's called Bermuda Triangle, one's called Dragon Triangle. And on a ball, allegedly, they're antipodal to each other, which is one of the reasons why whenever I was growing up and listening to this shit, that's how they explained why that anomaly happened is because they're, bipodal on the Earth. And so I'm wondering if dual pole, there's an explanation for that as well. It's very interesting. Good on you, bro.
Yeah, magnetic on electromagnetic anomalies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, like just the telluric currents, the fact that the sun's path is either going north or south for the winter or the summer, and then the temperature is going to work in the opposite direction because of the magnetic field lines for the north and the south, and that's what globers tend to say is proof that it's got to be a glob, and it makes sense if they really think it is. That you could be tricked into thinking that because everything's working in an opposite direction for the south as far as weather patterns and all that go. Well, it's because we have two magnetic fields that work as one unit, and the fact that they're funneling in on each other creates those different weather patterns north or south of the prime meridian or the
I know what I
celestial
was going to
equator.
ask you. The pyramids thing, right? So you said, okay, so the prime meridian is the equator, right? Like the dead center. It's where everything stops and starts going the opposite way, right? And that's in the middle of Africa.
The celestial equator. The celestial equator runs right through the middle, and then north is north of that, south is south, and that they go the opposite directions, counterclockwise
Okay,
as opposed to clockwise.
you said something about the pyramids, how they changed the meridian line. Where exactly is the meridian line again?
Yeah, they have it in Greenwich now, but it used to run right over the Great Pyramid. So they moved it 33 degrees to the west.
Do you have one that shows that? The one I just posted, is that it? Or do you have a different one that shows that with the meridian lined up that way?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's an old one. That was like a rendition I made. That one just is not at all what E1's map looks like. That was like my just an estimated version of it when I first started out. Here's
You
the
know what?
better official one.
You know what else it looks like, dude? Is the moon.
Somebody
Yeah,
did
the continent.
somebody showed a video of a dual pole map on the moon. Actually, they showed the dual pole moon
Yeah.
map, which is interesting.
Yeah.
No, overall new perspective, dude. I'm just very cautious. Like the thing is, in my viewpoint, we were deceived on the globe, and I think the AE map is deception 2.0. I think it's the flat Earth deception. They knew they would catch a bunch of people in it. So I'm just saying, dude. Like I'm not saying it's impossible to be an AE map. Like I guess there's still a part of me that's slightly open to it, but I think there's a lot of huge issues with it. But nonetheless, without going on that, I'm just saying, dude. Like I'm not going to be like. Is zealotrously, is that a word? Like I'm not going to be like jumping on. I'm not saying you're being zealotry. I'm just saying I'm not going to be zealotry jumping on, too much. I mean, I've talked a lot about the dual pole because of the sky, the equator, the GPs, those components. I mean, to me, it's clear we live in a two-pole system. You have the two rotations in the sky. That doesn't work with the AE map, etc. So, like, obviously, I've said those things, but I'm just, I guess I'm just going, like, it's sort of, what do they say? Fool me once, fool me twice, that kind of thing. If we've been fooled twice about what the Earth is, the globe and the AE map, then what the Earth really is the big third question. And I know that if people are satisfied with the globe, that's fine. If some are satisfied with the AE map, that's fine. They can have their journeys. But I'm just saying, my position is just, even if there's somebody putting out videos saying this, or that, I'm very open to hearing that at all out and looking at it. I'm just saying I'm not going to be like jumping and being like, this is it, because like I said, we've been deceived. And I think what the Earth is the big question. And so I think there's just a lot of questions that I think would need to be answered in my mind that I would want to know, before jumping on it and asserting it for myself. So that's why, like,
Yeah, of course.
that's why I'm kind of like, I'm not like debating it with you, but I am kind of willing to kind of like sharpen sword with sword kind of thing, and just kind of.
You gotta admit, it looks
I don't
pretty
think
good.
anybody, nobody should just accept something they hear or see, especially just at a glance or, in 10 minutes of a video. And E1's not trying to say, I figured it out, or this is what it is, and, or try to prove flat Earth. He's not planning on debating any ballers about refraction or any of that. He's over the glob idea a long time ago. But the southern stars are the big thing. And actually, that's what we used to lead off debates with Globers with in 2017. We'd be like, yeah, well, what about the southern stars and the way they converge and diverge from the northern stars? And they were like, wait a minute. The southern stars are a globe thing. And actually, it's the biggest debunk for the globe. And he has his custom star maps that you can actually go and, like, this is something you can't do like in any system right now, I don't think. But if I had a certain star over me and I'm in North America, I could call up my buddy in Japan and say, well, this star's over me, and according to this star chart that E1 put together, this star should be over you in Africa or New Zealand. And then you could actually check to see if the GPs for a person in the southern continent is lining up with the star that's over them, and then the star that's over you with the 2-star system that works like gears the way he put it together. And that would be a way of actually confirming whether the land masses are correct for aligning with the sky with the converging and diverging star trails.
Gio, to kind of go off of what you said before, like I'm not gonna I'm never gonna go 100% anymore. I've learned my lesson. Like I'm always gonna be learning. So
Yeah, I mean, I never went 100 with it. I never went 100 with the AE map either. I mean, we always used it, talked about it as a blueprint. It's been a part of the discussions for years. It has been useful in certain ways. I've always thought there are issues with it that I didn't have resolved in my own mind. That's why you'll never hear me asserting this is it or anything like. But we talked about all kinds of components of it, and the greater distances in the south and all the arguments. But so I mean, for myself, I never jumped on it. See, I guess Jaron did. the Jeranism guy, like he did jump on it to where he had to rescind it and be like, oh no, that wasn't it. But see, I never did that. So I don't have to like, I don't really feel like I need to like apologize or like go around saying, I'm so sorry the way he did. Because if he was saying this is it, well, then yeah, he jumped on something that he didn't verify or he didn't know yet. And I find it interesting, like the idea, the Earth being stationary and planar doesn't have to be that AE map. You know what I mean? It's interesting how many people jumped on that, like, yeah, this is my thing now, and I'm going to root for this baseball team as if it's a baseball team they're rooting for. And it's like, when I think about it, like, well, why that one? You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, the Earth's not a globe. People have come to that, but why the AE map? Is it just because it was sold to us? Like, there it was on the internet. It was Google searchable. People could find it. It's all over the place. People making T-shirts and coffee mugs and like, but why? Like, did you verify it? Did you verify the distances in the south? Did you verify Antarctica's a ring around the outside? Did you do any of that, or did you just jump on it, and just start rooting for it? And so, I'm just saying for myself,
it was everywhere, dude. It was everywhere. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I don't really have to like necessarily shift away from it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of thinking of it in the larger, like from the perspective that, because if it was just, I mean, there are like historical maps that are like that AE layout, so it does have like the idea that whole thing's a deception. It's like, well, there are maps like from the 1500s and different times, that seem to show that AE layout, and you don't see a bunch of ancient maps of a dual pole, so like, okay, did they just bury all the actual dual pole? If it is an actual dual pole flat Earth, did they just bury all those and then they only allowed the AE idea, or is all that just planted? Is it all fake, you know what I mean, as well, like the way the globe is? So, I mean, that's kind of trippy, but I mean, it did seem to be compelling because it's like, okay, well, if it's not this globe, then the thing that everyone seems to be, that there's history is this AE map. So, okay, is it this, and then there's the Gleasons and, you know what I mean? So it makes sense, but at the same, that people would jump on it, but at the same time, like I'm just kind of thinking from the perspective that we were duped twice or fooled twice by the data that's given or the materials, the pictures, the images, the maps, if there's two series of deceptions, then yeah, that's why I was just saying my sentiment is to be very, very cautious.
What's so funny, Gio, is like how like we were talking about with like we bring up the dual pole maps, and then all of a sudden the Globers start like promoting the AE map of flat Earth as if that's the only answer for flat Earth. And I was just going to say that, and I looked in the chat, and John says the Gleason model is the only possible flat Earth model because no other model gets the shape and centers of the lines and latitudes correct. So now he's an AE model promoted. Like he's like they're like, oh, it has to be AE or nothing at all. Like they're all like, it's almost like they know it's a dual pole flat Earth. And if anyone brings that up, that's like the one that they have to warn against more than anything because that's the only way it actually works. And they want people to think, oh, AE, it has to be AE for flat Earth. And that's totally what he said there. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
John, it's dual pole flat Earth. Come on.
Very effective, though, to pigeonhole someone into an argument that you already have refutations prepared for. It's like a pre-straw man.
Dude, John's probably listening. I mean, he's not in here. I don't want to talk, but I mean, he's got some knowledge and info. If he just he's so just rude, basically. If he let out all the condescending, rude stuff, he could be useful in the discussions. But he's just like everything he posts is just like attacks and.
It's like somebody's got a gun to his head, like convince him it's a glob or your family dies or something.
I mean, he has perspectives on these things. It's just the way he comes across is like just saturated in ridicule usually. But yeah, I mean, there are he's one that's trying to pigeonhole everybody back into AE map or into AE map kind of thing. That's what I'm saying, dude. If this like multiple,
but they only talk up the AE map as great only when the dual pole comes up, and then they're like, no, AE makes it's perfect on an AE for flat Earth. That's the one you should look at. Like what? They would never talk up the AE map as being correct in any way until you bring up the dual pole. I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, but I don't know that dual pole just has all the answers in my mind, though. Like I mean, the sky clearly is dual pole. I don't see any way that it could be anything different if you have consistent GPs and positions on the ground of the GPs. Because like I said before, my whole thing, like if you were to freeze frame the sky, go around the whole Earth and put a little flag in the ground underneath every single star at the ground position of every single star, you would end up with two huge swirls on the ground of flags, basically two huge rotational, just like the star trails look like two huge swirls. You'd have two huge swirls on the ground. So you have two huge swirls on the ground and two huge swirls in the sky. You have a dual pole flat Earth. There's no way that I could see around that. Because
Yeah, we got the 24-hour sun in both areas, and the stars circle around both areas. So according to that, it's dual pole, and we know it's not a glob. We're not on a ball. There's no curvature. So just by deduction, it's already a two-pole flat Earth. And then if you have a coordinate system that actually makes everything work as far as your flight times and your shipping routes, and it's just a coordinate system transform anyway. So we all kind of know just by deduction it has to be a two-pole flat Earth.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, there's still a bunch of things that would need to be explained though to really put all the pieces together, because these projections that are out here, I mean, it looks like the continents might be
Send me
distorted.
your list. Send me your list. I mean, I've got a list of things that I've gone through already with E1, but we'll probably do another session before the final piece or whatever. And if there's anything that you think are actual problems besides like Hawaii to New Zealand or whatever, give me a list and I'll make sure he covers all of it.
Yeah. So what's your like what's stopping you, Geo? Like, is there something specific about it that like you're just need to do more research or whatever?
Oh, well, I mean, I think there's just a bunch of to me, not necessarily fully worked out components of it to get the full layout, like the actual.
What I mean, what I mean though is like, is there something specific like that? Like, is it the way that the stars go around? Like, is it? I mean, I'm sure that this matches what, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to way to say it. Like, does it match stellarium or whatever? Or is it like stellarium? Like you know, that's kind of my hangups. I was just wondering what yours were. If that was kind
Yeah.
of.
I think there's a lot of things. There's circumnavigation east to west. What happens if you just go dead west on the equator? Do you end up in Indonesia? Meaning, if you leave Ecuador, South America, and you just go west, straight line, do you end up in Indonesia? Because if you do, then you're either Pac-Manning on a dual pole or it's a globe and you're wrapping around a globe. So that's a big
You
one.
would have to I was asking E1 about that. Like how would you falsify your model? And I was saying, what if someone was like dead reckoning, out just keep going west, like he's like, well, how would you do that? I mean, you wouldn't know if you're going in a straight line. Like how you can only go so far. And well, there's an armada of ships out there, naval ships that you can actually see on the naval ship tracker. So I guess you'd run into them or buoys or whatever. But I guess I mean I was like, what about if you put your steering wheel in like a fixed position and just like step on the gas or whatever? But like
Well,
the
you could.
magnetic field, I mean, if you're following a compass, it's either going to take you around north or south.
Well, when the sun is on the equinox, like on the equator during that time, if you were to get in a boat and just follow the sun, just go underneath the sun,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one
You
way.
go around the
So,
north or you go around the south. And you could even think you're on a ball because it just keeps going around the ball or it goes around the south or goes around the north. The same thing that flat earthers have been talking about with it going around in a circle because the north is in the center. It works exactly the same way. It's just that you're either going around the south or around the north. And you could be right under the sun and think you're on a ball because it doesn't go in a straight line on a ball either.
I think
You can think of it as a straight line, but if it's going around a ball, it's a curved line.
All right. So wait, with that, you're talking about, hold on. I'm just grabbing a quick thing real quick or doing a,
May I ask something real quick?
Sure.
So, like, would it correlate with what the Earth does, like as far as like tide wise, like tides? Does it follow that as well?
Sure. Well, I mean, the tides are a whole thing. Like, there's the tidal nodal points. I was asking him about that. He didn't know why that works that way exactly, but it's a magnetic. Everything works with like electromagnetic effect of some sort. And there's telluric currents, and they all have their little nodules and work in different areas, different ways. But yeah, from as far as the north and the south, I don't think there's anything that's the same way that they talk about hurricanes being opposite direction. Those aren't consistent completely either with like the opposite direction in north or south. But they tend to be one direction in the north or one direction in the south overall, and that's because of the magnetic field line going in the opposite directions.
So
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, if you want to continue on that, I just made this image real quick. So new perspective, you're kind of saying that the east-west circumnavigation, like the green lines is kind of what the globe or a Pac-Man would imply, but you're saying that you would actually be taking that red line?
Yeah, because that's the way the compass would make you go. Even if you thought you were on a ball, you would go around that exact same path because your compass is pointing north.
And it's just following the
And see at the
magnetic
very
lines.
top, and it always goes east to west. It goes around. It's exactly the same thing we've always said about the AE map. You're going east to west. Your magnetic declination, and if it points to the north, then you're going. Even though you're going on the top, you're still going down. You're going southwest, even though you're going the opposite direction because it goes around in a circle. That's the way the magnetic field lines work.
Okay, well, the only thing with that, I guess it's just the distances. Because if it's
No, it's
wrapped
point
around
for
a
point,
ball.
the same grid system. It's just a transform. It's the exact same grid system, point for point. There's no difference in the distances. Visually, you can make it seem like it or look like it, or maybe it just seems like there's a longer distance, but it's the same thing. It's 15 degrees for every latitude difference and 15 degrees for every longitude difference. And that grid system works exactly the same. There's no difference.
All right. Well, I mean, I do have a list off the top of my head of the things with the dual pole that I would want more fully answered. But
All right, what is it?
Well, no,
Go
but
ahead.
Yeah,
Jared,
List them up. I'll write them down.
well,
That's
Jared,
what I
if you were
asked
gonna,
earlier.
were you gonna continue on what you're saying about the ties, though? If I interrupted that, because I just wanted to post
Just
that.
text it to me. Just DM it to me.
Just real quick, like, the tidal nodes, and I'm definitely a proponent, and I believe this is the fact that there are energetic lines throughout the earth. I mean, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these energy lines, I do believe exist, and I do think the sun and the moon are both attached. They're like on just a roller coaster that's never going to change. You know what I mean? Like it's on a magnetic track. Like I've always thought that would be the case because it's never really changed its position. Like you could sit there and get real, like, you know,
Oh, dude,
I don't know.
Jared, but before too long, or before you get too tired, watch those videos I sent you, bro. You'll get a lot of these answers you're talking about.
See, this is
I
the
sent you
stuff
like
I
3
figured,
videos.
like, even after the TFE thing, which did solidify more about the sun there, like, yeah, there's the stars that already do that, but see, I was kind of assuming that after that trip, like, either way, the community would be, like, just thriving in discussions, there'd be globebusters
I
every
did
Sunday,
too.
there'd be this, that going on, but it really did shift in a way, like, it exposed a lot of things, maybe, like, I don't really think Duffy's thing really did that much ultimately, but there is kind of a way in which a lot was brought to the surface. I mean, anytime there's some information that was false, like the whole claim that there's no 24-hour sun there, I think is false. It's misinformation. So the fact that that was out there and it was linked to quote unquote flat Earth and that it's wrong, it is bound to stir things up. Like either people are going to say it's fake or people are going to say it's real and now it's not flat, which not very many really did that. I guess Jaron did, and maybe a few others, but it didn't really do that, which is kind of like maybe Duffy was hoping that would be an effect, that there'd be this huge exodus, but there really wasn't. It did maybe quiet
Ironically,
down
the
the
best thing
combos a
for
little bit,
flat Earth,
though.
right? It forced the hand. It forced people to look at what's actually happening, which they should have known already if you could just look at the GPs of the sun and figure out that it does actually do that. I mean, it's not like it's a mystery that was solved, but it did open a lot of people's minds to the possibility that it's a dual pole, and if it is a dual pole, it forced that hand. Ironically, it made the dual pole flat Earth, if that is the correct way and works the way that E1 has it laid out. If it wasn't him, it could have been somebody else that was going to say, well, if we know it's flat and it's dual pole, this is how it has to work. And that it's funny because it gave the right answers when it was trying to make people jump back on the spinning ball, which is never going to happen for anybody that realizes you're not on a ball. And you can't change that. You can't unrealize something. You're never going to be able to unrealize that, no matter what if you really did realize it, right? It wasn't just ever a belief of being on a flat Earth. You realize that you're not on a ball, and you can't undo that.
Yeah, I always use the example, like if you walk in on your girlfriend cheating on you, she's in bed with a dude, like you can't just rewind that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I mean,
Right.
unless you could deceive yourself. Oh, it wasn't her. It was another woman. She had a
Yeah.
mask on. It was a different person. I was
She
hallucinating.
said it wasn't. She said
Yeah.
it wasn't her. Yeah. So
I just use that example as a dramatic one, like
It was
someone
an
walks in on their-
anatomically correct a robot. What was it? Sex doll. Remember that conversation? The sex
But I
doll
mean,
thing.
but without anything wild like that, the classic thing, like in a movie or whatever, guy walks in, girls having sex, she jumps up, she shouts, she grabs her clothes, everyone's screaming, that kind of scenario. That's like obviously her, you caught her like in your own bed or whatever, cheating on you. Yeah, that kind of thing. Just like it's like you can't, like that's the truth now. Like you're not just gonna have a bunch of friends are not gonna sit around and be like, oh, but Will Duffy sent people YouTubers on a vacation and now she didn't cheat on you. Like you just can't do that. Like it doesn't. There's nothing that's going to.
It's more like realizing something's untrue rather than something is true. Like that's the one. Like Santa Claus is another classic example. But like it'd be like if the other all of a sudden somebody came out and says, oh, you know what? Santa Claus was real the whole time. Santa Claus really was real. Like who's gonna ever like start believing in that again after you realize it was your parents giving you the gifts, right?
That's a good example too. Yeah.
You totally go through the 5 stages of grief, like I know I did. Like knowing, oh, it's not a ball,
But then it rises back up because all all of the things it opens, all the possibilities and all the other things that could possibly be true or are true about where we live, and how it's actually more magical rather than less magical because it's not fake as fuck any longer.
And everybody keeps trying to say, show us a model, and then we come up with one. And then they're like, whoa, that didn't work, or whatever. They have no reputation. Dude, we just keep getting better and tighter, and everything's just, yeah.
Yeah, but
I just want to show that clip at least so that the Pac-Manning son, I don't know. There's so many people, even flat earthers, that are just like, it's the most hated thing is the idea of a dual pole flat earth, even by flat earthers. And I don't know why, but that seems to be like, maybe we've all kind of been influenced, even if we don't want to admit it, that the AE is the only way or something like the AE is the only way. And it has to do with the fact that the needle always points north. It's not like it's not an equal pole because it runs south to north. So the compass is always going to point north, which makes sense that someone might get the idea that that's the center and that there isn't another pole.
And it's good that we got a data point that's going around in the south. Like we know the sun goes around you in the south. So that's something we could check off that for sure. We didn't know that like 5 years ago or whatever, it was all just a guessing game.
Not all of us. Yeah.
Well, there was definitely like limited access to the South and to the whole 24-hour sun in the South. I mean, I think if there's a larger like PSYOP involved with the AE map and the globe, like we've talked about that idea or theory that they actually purposefully did that, kind of purposely limited. I mean, it is wild. The very first video of a 24-hour sun in Antarctica ever was in 2014, which is right around when Flat Earth started erupting. And like, meaning there wasn't one in 2009, 2005, 1992, 1976. You couldn't find any of it. There's no footage of a 24-hour sun that I'm aware of. If someone has one from earlier, But so it is pretty wild. And then those first ones that came out were pretty shoddy. You know, they were cut, they were edited. Some think they were
Maybe
fake.
even purposely to make us think it was,
Right.
like a
Maybe even purposely because
poorly
the
on
whole
purpose. Yeah.
yeah, if that was done on purpose, because the whole thing was, why would they fake it if it was really there? Therefore, it has to not be there. The Gleason's is right. The AE map is right. So there could be, and then it was very limited. And then it wasn't until like 2019, 2020 that I started seeing some videos of a 24-hour sun in the south that looked pretty genuine. And I started thinking, wow, these actually look, I couldn't really find anything that looked specifically fake. And I was like, okay, well, if they're really in the places they're saying, and this is where they're at, and because I saw some that were more genuine looking, but it wasn't until 2019, 2020, and then that's when more of those trips to Union Glacier started being accessible. That around. I mean, people were going before then, but it's like the trips ramped up too, to where now they have marathons and all these people going. So there's like a weird way in which it almost seems like it could have been kind of rolled out in a way that maybe even purposeful to have this 24-hour sun, or with the AE map thing.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to suck us in, right? Like,
well, for the north, it kind of works. Like even like some people bring up the fact that like ancient maps show it kind of looking like it's just the center is the north, but that could just be that they didn't travel to the south. They and plus they're ethnocentric. Like everyone wants to think the world revolves around them, especially if you're an emperor or somewhere. You want to make yourself the center, or at least the region you're in, what everything revolves around, right? And,
well, it's definitely,
that would make sense. So they have kind of an AE map for the north, and it works just fine for the north, and you can see the southern stars still. You can kind of use those still, even if they go off in the other direction. And you're not going to notice that too much until they get like a lot further south.
I felt like that they played it like a trump card. You know what I'm saying? Like it seemed as though they didn't want us to believe there was one, so they could reel everybody in into making a decision. And then, boom, they know the whole time that it's been going around the south.
Well, not to give them too much credit, they might have actually pushed us into the dual pole on purpose so they could eventually tell us the truth, in quotes, that we do live on a dual pole flat Earth, and the outer ponders are on their way, or whatever they're going to do. They have to like reveal the truth to sell us more lies, or whatever their version of the outer ponders is. That's not really the real outer ponders that might actually exist. Who knows?
But nobody's revealing a dual pole though. Like nobody really.
Well, they kind of forced that hand by showing us the 24-hour sun, is what I'm saying.
Well, okay, whether they were just trying to, it seemed to me like they were more trying to debunk the AE map and then therefore try to flush flat Earth down the toilet forever, as it were, which this John guy is going on, cutting and pasting
like
from his folder. He is just endlessly, just ridicule, and that's his thing, like to try to. So, I mean, I'm just saying it seems more like, and then the Duffy's whole thing was, not to push people into like a dual pole, what it really is. His thing was to try to convince everyone it was a globe and, hey, look, the flat Earth it's done, it's cooked because the AE map, that was his like agenda. I mean, dude, how many people
are even talking? The irony that if it did point us to the correct dual pole, exception of it, and maybe giving them way too much credit for the idea that they actually did that on purpose so they could eventually tell us the truth about the dual pole. I'm not saying that's what they did, but you never know if it's a psyop within a psyop within a psyop within a riddle within an enigma or whatever.
How many people are even talking about dual pole? Like 30? Like how many people do you know of that even talk about it? It's like
does 30? It matter though? Like, again, Gio, the irony again is if we ever force them to tell us the truth, that's the last thing we want. Right? So how many people know or don't know? And whether, there's no way that we're going to ever force them to tell us the truth unless they want to tell us the truth that is attached to a bunch of whole other package or the paradigm of lies that they can use the truth to sell us. And I know it kind of sounds blackmailed.
Couldn't that give them a way out by blaming?
I get your theory on that like if for some reason they would all of a sudden start saying things that are truthful, I don't see why they would, but I'm just saying, how many actually are talking about the dual pole? Is it even 30? Is it 15?
A lot 10? More than before the TFE. A lot more than before TFE.
I don't even remember, when did it come out? I don't remember when I first saw that. It's just maybe I saw it. No, the dual pole map.
Dual
One
pole's
just
always been around. It's just a transform of the graticule, if you want to look at it that way. I mean,
well,
we've always had a
I'm
dual pole flat Earth. It's just that they
I'm just
made it seem like a glob. They just pinned everything to the back and said it's a glob,
And
but
then
you
they
could
made
never go around the way the glob makes it seem like you could.
yeah, and then
in that case.
the flat Earth phrase was always connected to the single pole AE kind of thing.
Kind of,
That
yeah.
all came out at 2015 or before
Well,
that.
E1's been talking about the Southern Stars since 2017. That's why he left the main discussion, because the patented answer that anybody would give about the Southern Stars when the Globers would bring that up, they'd be like, "Do all stars move east to west? Yes or no? Do all stars move east to west?" Like that's the only response you could give. Instead of no, there's actually Southern Stars. They actually converge and diverge with the Northern Stars. That doesn't work for a globe. So let's move on with how a dual pole flat Earth would work. That should have happened in 2017 if everybody was looking at it the way it is, rather than just going along with what QE or Nathan Oakley or whoever it was that was, the loudest voice at the time. And people are still doing that, and people will still do that after they see what E1 has here with this perfectly working model of the grid system and all that. They'll just go and say, well, if QE doesn't accept it, or if Nathan Oakley doesn't talk about it, it must not be true, or it must not have credit. That's the ridiculousness we're in. People still can't think for themselves, and flat Earth is all about thinking for yourself.
Well, and I think that's why these rooms are important. And I think the answers to some of our questions, if we ever do get any, are going to come from places like this, So,
Well, it did here tonight. That was the first taste of it. I mean, that's as close to the truth as I've seen. What he's put together. I mean, that's just what deductively it has to be. Two poles flat Earth. Whether it's exactly like he says or not, somebody take his information, make it even better. But we have the reality of two poles on a flat Earth. We know we're not on a glob. We know there's two poles. Go from there.
where's your model? Where's your predictive power and all that, right? Like, and then we come up with something, and then that's not good enough, or I don't know, refraction or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
Well,
this
it's
is an
never going to be
authentic.
good enough for the globe, right? It's never going to be like the Globers are always going to have to claim it's a glob, because that's either their job or they have some personal interest or some kind of security blanket with it, whatever the reasons are. They're never going to accept anything that talks about what we experience 24/7. They have to deny that. And if it's not the government that's going to say, "Oh yeah, you're right. Oops, we didn't mean to do that," that's never going to happen. So people that realize that it's just going to be one individual at a time, realizing that it's not a glob, and then realizing it's two poles, and then if they want to use the star maps that work with the coordinate systems and all that, and this is at least the way it works with the GPs and everything all lining up. What more could you really want than something that works, and then a realization of your reality being, not a spinning ball.
Quick question. So prior to the whole, and when I say TFE, I say in the lightest, most humorous manner, and I put two fingers up on each hand. Do you guys? I never heard you guys mention this before TFE. Although I'm not the best listener, so
That's been
Like I
talked
said,
about. Plenty.
the guy that I sent a couple of videos, clips of videos to you in your DMs
yeah,
Saturday Saints. He's been saying that since
yeah.
2017. We used to lead off debates
Okay.
by challenging the Globers about the Southern Star Trails, and we used to surprise them and talk about Southern Star Trails. And they're like, "Oh, that's only a globe thing," but it's actually only a flat Earth thing. But if you see the sun going south during the winter instead of north, that means it's going the opposite direction. You don't have to go to Antarctica to see that happening. That's just anybody can see that during the winter.
Okay. I hear people, not just you guys, but I hear people saying a lot like they're invoking the TFE thing for this or that or the other, and it's just like I don't think they went, and so I don't think there's a 24-hour sun. I mean, I don't know though.
But wait, don't get
Honestly,
stuck on that, because my friend, like at E1's been, I told him about TFE way after he knew there was a 24-hour sun. That was not at all a surprise to him. So it has nothing.
Cool.
This isn't a reaction to TFE whatsoever.
Okay, cool. Okay, good.
What is your reason for thinking there? What is your reason for not thinking there's a 24-hour sun there? Is it just a belief in the AE map?
No, I don't care about the AE map. I don't really care about any maps. I've
that's the
listened to
only
their
one
story.
that denotes. That's the only one where there's not a 24-hour sun. That's the only one. So is that the reason? Because otherwise, why would you have a reason to not think it's there?
Because the way they went about presenting it, bro, totally sus. You know what I mean? It reminded me of the Nathan Thompson chicken suit thing, bro. You know what I mean? It's like they find out these things when a flat earther's around. It's like, why do you have to have a flat earther there? It's super sus, bro. You know what I mean?
But a bunch of other people have taken that trip. A ton of other people have taken that.
It's not just that, obviously. I have many reasons. I've thoroughly looked at it. I've listened to Witsit give explanations. I don't even listen to Jaren. I mean, like, Jaren's whole thing, like, it's kind of obvious that it was fake because of how he switched up like that. Like, that was part of the deal, probably. You know what I mean?
But don't you think that even if it was real, that whatever they came back with, you would think it was fake anyway? Like,
no, I
wouldn't. You know what? They love the Globers and the people that were in charge of paying Will Duffy to follow through with taking the flat earthers. The whole thing was a psyop based on the truth, right? So there is a 24-hour sun that did go see it, but they love that flat earthers think it's fake, right? That's what they wanted.
Yep.
Whatever way they did that, whether they had influencers making people think that, or they actually made some artifacts in the footage, or made it seem like a psyop so that people would think it's a psyop. That was the psyop, because then they could say, oh, flat earthers should have believed the moon landing too. See, they don't believe anything. And then somebody can go and prove that there's a 24-hour sun in the south, and they'll think flat earthers are stupid. So maybe you fell for that part of the psyop instead of the opposite.
They already think that, though. They don't need us for that shit. I mean, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they think, but I'm saying the psyop was to get them, get flat earthers to think it's fake, because they love that, because they know it wasn't.
I mean, I don't
question.
think they went there, bro.
Quick question, new perspective. You know how when they had the AE map, there were people that were showing like the flight paths for like emergency landings and diverted flight paths and stuff. You know, like transposed on top of that map, and they showed how it lined up. Have you tried taking any of that information on like maybe satellite paths or flight paths and trying to overlay them on this to see if it kind of works or not?
We showed a video in here just a little bit ago where he talked about the flight paths and everything. I'll send it to you.
Dope, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting shit for the longest time. Show us your model, make predictions, you know? And dude, that's all you see. You just see flat earthers fucking working it, like getting shit done, and they're just sitting back and just, I mean, shit in the bed at every single turn. Like they got nowhere to go.
Isn't there a Bible scripture that says something like man cannot measure the earth or something like that?
Yes, it's
That's
in Job. No man can measure the earth. What man can measure the earth? Only God.
Yeah, it was God mocking Job, like tongue in cheek, asking him, you know, who can measure the earth? What man has stretched a line across it and measured the face of the waters?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe nobody will ever have an accurate map of the earth. It's you know what I mean? Maybe we're not meant to, you know? I don't know.
Well, I mean, but still, that doesn't mean that you can't have a sun that goes around you in a 24 hours. Like I mean, it's not that big a leap for me, you know, like it is just what it is. I mean, I was all about the AE map, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be dishonest about that, but I mean, it's
Does
one of
anybody
those
know
deals
if
like,
it's okay? If Witsit's okay?
Why wouldn't he be?
Does anybody know if Witsit's okay?
No, I said, why wouldn't he be?
Because it's just been 4 months since he had a video on his channel, so I just wanted to check on him, but I don't know how to do that.
He was
Hasn't
in
he been
here.
coming on?
He was in here like there was like a. He hasn't been in like 2 weeks or something, or 2 or 3 weeks. But before 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was coming in here like he probably came in like 30 times and did hours and hours.
I wish he'd come in more often. Then Rusted Soul would come in.
It was kind of
She
like
never
the old
comes in unless
days.
he's in.
That's not true. She's been here when he's not here.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, it was kind of like the
So
old
is
days.
he still going
Godric.
strong, or is the wind taking out of him?
Dude, it feels like you got a little trolling motor on and you're just putting along there, Flatty. What's going on?
No,
bud?
I like Rusted Soul. I really like her. You know what I mean? Regardless of Witsit, you know, I like her as a person. You know.
Yeah, you can subscribe to her channel. She's got a channel.
I know. I have subscribed to it. You're funny. I don't. I'm not gonna. I would never sit there and like hound Witsit though or anything like the way she does. That's her own style or anything. You know what I mean? I like Witsit, regardless of anything else. You know what I mean?
Dude, and he's always said like he understands people being shady about it. Like he's always said that, like out in the open. He's never like tried to deny. Like he knows that people are
If
gonna be
Witsit's lying about going, if Witsit's lying about going to Antarctica, he's the best actor that ever existed,
no
and that's
shit.
not the case.
I don't really think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that there's so much tell in his voice, like when he's explaining it, and like he's just going off on a it's different. Something's different about him, you know.
But
But
what is
because
he
of the whole
saying
vape,
that's
because of the whole vape
what,
thing, and the fact that they ruined his life and made a public thing of him, and had people that were like fake flat earthers that decided to call the whole thing fake, that were influencing other people to think it's fake afterwards, and he lost a lot of things because of it, and had a bunch of
I
money
know.
stolen, and had a bunch of stuff happen in his personal life all at once. I mean, maybe that's part of what you're hearing.
well what have you seen in the past where he's been shady? Like I've never seen it.
I haven't.
Never once.
I've never seen it
Yeah.
either.
It's just the whole thing. The whole thing is weird, bro. But there's anomalies though in the thing. Like I've said this before. There's nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean?
Well, there's gonna be
The
anomalies.
anomalies
You're
are
gonna
because the
find those.
360 cams have anomalies already. They could have even put them there on purpose. There's
And you're
anomalies,
gonna look
yeah.
at
There's things that you could focus in on. But dude, we were there like every step of the way. I mean,
yeah.
there's no way that was a studio. I mean,
Dude,
it
he was
doesn't
on
matter. There's a
before he
24-hour
left.
sun existence. There
I mean, he could
already
Yeah.
have.
is provably a
I don't know.
24-hour sun going the opposite direction. So that isn't the question.
Totally open about where he was. He got on here whenever had free time or whatever. Like the dude I mean, if you weren't around to witness that, then maybe yeah, you can maybe find some anomalies, so to speak, and you're gonna put them under the microscope. But that's expected. We're flat earthers, you know, so we're not
Yeah.
gonna just believe. So it's you know, whatever it takes for you, man. All I'm saying is that if you're wrong, you're wasting a lot of time. Just saying.
Yeah.
And Witsit, you hung out with Witsit.
I know.
You guys should be buddies, but now you think he's a liar for just because there's people that found anomalies and I mean, I
Yeah.
understand the idea of thinking it's a psyop. It was a
Yeah,
psyop. It was a
I'm not.
psyop based on the truth, and they actually went. But they wanted flat earthers to think it's fake, and you're living up to that.
Either way,
Well, you got
either
it.
way, it really doesn't change anything. You know.
Well, you got to
Well,
at
it
least
changes
know that
your
that's the.
relationship with somebody that you considered a friend with Witsit, right? You guys hung out when he was in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it doesn't really change. Well, it kind of does, I guess. He probably
Yeah,
hates me
he's a
now.
bro. He's actually cool.
I know.
And if he's actually cool, and you're saying you think, I mean, it's not like you're personally attacking him. You just think the whole thing.
I think Nathan Thompson's cool too. He's still my friend.
You can like
You know.
Nathan Thompson. That's fine.
Nathan
But
stayed at my house. Stayed at my house a couple nights before, and when I was living in Ventura.
Well, I mean, I just have never seen Witsit ever be deceitful. He's always been upfront. He's never tried
Yeah,
to hide. He's always
true.
been
He prides
straightforward.
But
himself on that.
I'd
His
say
track
every man
record
is
should tell
lovable.
people. His track record should tell people that he's legit. Like, come on, like, give the guy a fucking break. He comes on here. Like, if he really wanted to be deceitful about it, he wouldn't come on here and take the abuse that you got, like everybody gives him. Like, he doesn't do
I
that.
haven't given him I haven't given him any abuse. I haven't said.
No,
I
I
haven't.
know.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
you're standing there
he knows what I think.
roasted soul as if she's got points and
Huh?
shit. You're standing there
Wait, say
saying
that
Roasted
again.
Soul's got good points about what she was saying about Witsit or whatever.
But to
Well,
be
I mean, she
a
goes a
true,
little. She goes a little overboard, but whatever.
I mean, if you're wanting to get to the truth, like you want to know, like, okay, so there's got to be at least a possibility that everything he's saying is actually true. Like there's
Yeah,
not a big
there's a
logical
possibility.
step. You know what I mean? So
Oh
that's kind
yeah.
of where
There's just too many things, bro. But whatever.
well, I think if you would have paid attention before he left and then throughout the trip, and then when he was in Antarctica, the whole way, it was documented. Like he was coming on here. He wasn't trying to hide where he was. I mean, they were showing video
Can
of
you guys
them at
send me?
the
Can you guys
hotel.
send me a link? Can you guys send me a link of the other videos prior to the TFE thing of the 24-hour sun?
Oh shit. I don't know if
Geo has
Jaron
those.
recorded
Huh?
or
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
Geo has those.
you guys have heard me say that because I went through
I'm
it all
pretty sure.
live on here. We went through it all live because once I found out they were actually going to go, I was like, hey, let me start digging. Let me see what this Union Glacier is all about. Other people, who else has gone there? Is there any other footage of the sun, et cetera, et cetera? So I did a deep dive. It's all on these live stream recordings because every day, I would go through 30, 40 videos from YouTube, Vimeo, et cetera, and then I would bring what I found and I would talk about it for a few hours. Like pretty much every day, it was like unfolding daily. So I was just digging stuff that everybody else could find too if they wanted. I was just digging, finding it, and yeah, I mean, I found it unfolded like as I was finding more and more, but I found one actual 24-hour sun video from Union Glacier. Now there's others from other places like McMurdo and other places, but from Union Glacier, I did find one, and it's like a 360 camera, and it's got like kind of two different portions. Like one of them's looking up at the sky, the other one's kind of looking like horizontal at the horizon at the sun, and it's spinning around. So I did find that. I showed it to Witsit, or I shared it with Witsit. Witsit said he shared it with Jaron. So that's the only 24-hour sun one I found, like actually uncut 24-hour sun. But I found a bunch of other videos and pictures of the sun in all positions, 360 degrees. So the sun in the south, southwest, southeast. There's the solar eclipse from
Did you find this
2021.
on YouTube or no?
Yep, yeah. Well, YouTube and also Vimeo. I was digging on there too, but yeah, they're all on YouTube.
isn't it on your playlist? New perspective, Dave. It's on your playlist, right? Somewhere.
Yeah, there's all that. Right? There's like Geo talking about it, showing that. That's
Yeah,
one of the
Gio, I
clips.
think that's what he was asking about. I think he was asking about if there was any footage of them like at the hotel and being on the stream. He's because I believe.
No, he's talking about the 24-hour sun that has nothing to do with TFE.
He's talking about footage before TFE even happened of Union Glacier and 24-hour suns and all that before they even went. Because a lot of people who don't know that there's a bunch of other footage out there of that site, some people just think like, oh, TFE happened and it was the first trip ever, and they don't really understand that these trips have been going on for years. There's all kinds of other people, bloggers, vloggers, people that have like 1,000 subs on some YouTube channel, and they went there and they went skydiving. There's all kinds of other footage. Now you can take that for what you think. If someone wants to think that's all faked and they're all actors, you can discern it for yourself. But I'm just saying there is a lot of other footage, which I found before they even went, of all kinds of different people having nothing to do with TFE. But I was saying I did find there's a solar eclipse from 2021, and the sun is in the south when it's being eclipsed. It's behind that southern mountain. And that was a trip that was done by this company that they do a bunch of other trips. Like they take people to like, South Africa, Greenland, different places. And they look like a pretty reputable company from what I could tell. So there's that from 2021. That one has a 360 footage and non 360. And I can post that, or if you haven't seen it, but there's that one. It's pretty publicly available. And then there's also, I found like probably about 7 or 8 videos that showed the sun like traversing behind that southern mountain. Like it didn't show the whole 24, but it showed the sun. So anyways, yeah. So the 124 sun, 7 or 8 that are showing the sun moving in the south, the solar eclipse, and then footage showing the sun in all different positions. That's kind of the quick highlights of what I found before they went.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you meant footage of them because when in regards to Witsit, like proof that if he actually went or not, there's video out there, and there's also live streams of when before he left, during, and while he was there. I don't think they did anything after, but it's all recorded somewhere. And if people just go back and listen to that, like that, he's not lying or being deceptive or any of that crap. Like it's just ridiculous. And if people can just understand, like if they really want to believe that it was all faked and everything, if they are wrong, then they are missing out. Like literally, they're wasting their time. And I just think it's ridiculous, to put somebody through all that without any evidence of him ever being like lying or open. And dude, there would be like he's on here a ton, and then also he does videos in which he likes the audience can join or whatever, so you can talk to him when he does one of those, and like he's an open book. Like I don't understand where all of a sudden he's so deceitful that he would fucking come up with this scheme to make, to say he's going to, and like for what? Like, what's he
I
doing
don't
it
think
for?
he came up with it. I don't think he came up with it. You know what I mean?
But he's
No,
not
dude,
just going to follow somebody else. He's not
But you
going to follow
understand-
somebody else like a sheep.
Yeah, like you understand the accusation though. Like I understand, like it's understandable to question things, and if you haven't gone yourself, and there's only certain footage, and we've all seen whatever limited footage we've seen, and we haven't been there ourselves, so it's all understandable. Like I'm not, people want to question things and so on, but you do understand like that level of accusation, like to claim that he deceived that means that like, because dude, you look at like the astronauts, like those guys are they're bad at lying. They're clearly lying, like Don Pettit. You know what I mean? Like to me, like those guys, like dead giveaway. But compare that to Witsit. To think that Witsit is in that same category of like the astronauts, like to me is just
I
like
don't think that,
doesn't fit. Well, but to claim that Witsit faked it or whatever would have to be that. He would have to be in on it. He'd have to be in some Illuminati thing. He'd have to be an agent. He'd have to be an operative. He'd have to be. I mean, I guess there's different scenarios like compromise, or he's in the Illuminati, or I'm just saying those types of claims. Like it's just an extreme claim. Like somebody in here, there was like sometimes the live stream goes down, and so of all the hours on Earth Awakenings here, like there's been a few hours here and there that have been lost because of like YouTube goes down or the server crashes or whatever, something happens. So, but there was like an hour that was missing, and this guy was like saying like he was like basically like trying to like accuse me of like gatekeeping, as if I like purposely cut that hour out. And like I got a little bit flared up because like when you think about what that accusation is, like any accusation like this, you have to you're basically accusing someone that they're like a severe liar. They're completely in on some massive deception. I mean, gatekeeping a little hour on here is like kind of a smaller thing than trying to fake a whole 24-hour sun, let alone fake a moon landing or whatever. So I'm just saying, dude, it's a big claim. People run around being like, oh, he's an agent. But when you really think about that, what that actually implies,
And he didn't go hide and run like Jaren did. Like he doesn't just go and do videos and then not be able to interact with them. Like, yeah, Jaren, how to like that? Call in.
The thing with
Call
Jaren
in,
is
show that he does,
the thing with Jaren's another huge like red flag. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
I mean, obviously he wasn't strong enough to get past it. Like that
Does anybody
was
else
his
think
breaking point.
they got to Jaren because he has so much evidence of NASA lying and everything, and all of a sudden he flips? Does this make sense?
I know
But dude,
exactly.
if you would have
It doesn't
heard
make
him
sense at all.
before, whenever this trip wasn't even scheduled, like he wasn't even knowing if he was going to go or not. Just whenever he brought that up as a 24-hour, not being 24-hour sun, and all the flat earthers came at him and said, that doesn't mean that we're on a ball. That doesn't. And he kept saying, no, yes, it does. That's what we've been saying this whole time. So you could tell he was already starting to jump ship before he even did did the thing.
Which
Like
is
I
really
think
weird
most of
considering that he's held so many debates and ripping flat Earth
but dude,
for 10 years or
he
something like
hides behind his videos, which is like some I don't know. I think you need to be up front. Like it's just weird to me how you would like put a video out and then not even want to hear. Like there's Discord. You can come in here anytime and to hear what people are thinking,
Yeah.
But he never did that. And
Of
Witsit
course not.
does it all the time. Like Witsit spends
Many
hours in here. Like
many flat
for
earthers
real.
claimed if there is a 24-hour sun, then this is impossible on a flat Earth. So Dave Weiss said if it's a
Well,
24-hour sun, then it's a globe. Bob Nodell said that. Um, I think Witsit also said there is no 24-hour sun, and then he was proven wrong, and then said doesn't matter.
no,
The
he
only
did never
one,
said
the
that.
only one
That's a
who,
lie.
the
That's a
only
lie. He
one
never said that.
he did
You're
say that
lying.
on
It
record.
doesn't really
No, he
matter what
did
people
not.
said or didn't
Witsit
say.
said there
People
is
people
no
can say
24-hour
things.
sun before the trip.
People can say things. There's no leaders in flat
You
Earth. Everybody's got to
don't
just
want
look
to,
at the
you want to
obvious
interrupt? That's
evidence.
fine. Okay.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't matter what people say. There's no
Yeah,
leaders in flat Earth.
you're saying you're interrupting
I'm
again.
suspicious of a lot of the people that are possibly quote unquote leaders. Who knows? What Dave Weiss is saying to save his app. Who knows? It doesn't matter. I'm saying that if there's a 24-hour sun and there's two poles, and the globe is already done for most flat earthers that realize it's not a globe. So you have those two. You have those two things that have to add up. A flat Earth with two poles, right? Because we know it's not a glob. We're not upside down, right side up. None of that works, bro.
Point one, you're constantly interrupting once someone says something that you don't agree with. The second, I just wanted to state out that many of the flat Earth influencers publicly announce that they think there is no 24-hour sun, and many of those also said if there is a 24-hour sun, then it's a globe. Let's go there, for example. And the only one who sticked with this claim, the only one who was integer is Jaren, because he said, okay, if there is a 24-hour sun, then I think it is a globe. And he fulfilled this promise. And now
Yeah, he fulfilled it
you're
to whoever he fulfilled
exactly
it to,
because
right?
he
He
was
thinks he's
integer.
upside down. He thinks he's spinning all of a sudden on a globe. I mean, he never realized he's not spinning. I don't believe that.
And claiming
I don't think Jaren's being truthful. I think he knows it's flat and he's paid
okay,
off to say that shit.
then go to his channel channel and and debate debate him. They They gave gave him him an an offer offer he he can't can't refuse. refuse. So
Exactly. Yep.
you are claiming, or you're saying that he's never coming here. He's not up for debate. That's not true. He does not want to do it in this Discord, maybe, but he's off. He's open for debate, and he hosts a flat Earth versus his debate on his channel. So if you want to
If you have
debate
good
him,
arguments,
if you think, and here you go again.
dude, you gotta just stop for a second. If you have good arguments, sorry guys, give me a second. My bad, guys.
So if you want to debate, you can go to his channel and challenge him. That's I think.
I don't want to debate him. That would be depressing.
But if his ideas are strong, then he should be able to, argue for him. And there's nothing, that's what Witsit does. Like he just comes in here. He's not reading a script or anything like that. He's going off of what he knows. And if Jaren had balls, he would come in here too, and he'd be able
Why does
to
he has
argue
to
for his
come in
position.
here?
I'm
Why
not saying
has
he
he
has
have
to.
to come in here? He
I didn't.
offers a debate against flat earthers on his channel. He debated Witsit on his channel, and he's not someone like Nathan Oakley who just mutes and insults people on his channel. He's, in my opinion, very moderate person if you debate him. So if you want to debate, if you have any questions, contact him and go to his channel. Why does he have to come into this Discord only because you are too lazy to move somewhere else? This accusation is completely pointless.
Yeah, I mean, Snooze, I think maybe what they're referring to, Jaren has never really been active in the community in terms of like on the ground level, if you want to call it that, the way Witsit has. That's just a fact. Now, Jaren doesn't use Discord. Maybe he doesn't like it. He's not a fan of it, whatever. He's always been almost a little bit like Eric Dubé, actually, kind of set aside from in terms of like in the community in this way. Now he's always kind of been on his channel. You can't necessarily just go on his channel any day. I mean, you could maybe try to email him and maybe try to get on or something. I mean, he knows Alan was on his channel, but They may just be. I think what they're referring to is that Jaren has. I mean, people call it being like in the trenches or whatever. Jaren has never really been in the community in that way. He's always kind of been set aside on his channel, very limited access in a way. I guess he does like respond to maybe messages on Facebook or different places. I guess on X or something. You always hear him kind of fighting with people on there, so maybe he does a bit of that. But I think they're just referring to that he hasn't really been. Not in the same way Witsit has, kind of like with the people, if you want to put it that way.